Welcome to the Investor Hot Seat. One company is on the hot seat presenting their company to a panel of investor judges who are actively looking to invest. The judges will determine if the company is ready for them to invest in or if they can offer advice to help them improve their company's value and mission. Join us to see if the company can capture at least one investor or will they go home with some good advice. Stay tuned to find out.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Nemanic, and I am your host for the Investor Hot Seat webinar. I'd like to welcome everyone that has joined us today. The Investor Hot Seat is a 3-hour webinar, and our goals are to entertain, educate, and connect companies from different industry sectors who are seeking additional growth capital and are in the hunt for new investors and sources of capital. Today, we will hear from a lineup of 9 innovative companies that will be presenting their investment opportunity to a panel of experienced investor judges that are seeking investment opportunities. At the end of our webinar, we will learn which companies the investor judges like and if they're ready to invest. Now, raising capital to fund the growth of a company is hard work and an activity that is being done by companies all around the world. We are excited to be joined on this webinar by an audience of investors, industry professionals, and entrepreneurs located in countries from around the world that include New South Wales, Australia. Hello, Mike. Canada, Colombia, Ecuador, France, miss those croissants. Germany, India, Malaysia, Nigeria, Nepal, home of the abominable snowman and the best microphones, the Yeti. North Macedonia, Panama, absolute best country in the entire universe. That's where I live. Peru, United Kingdom, United States, you may have heard of that place, and Zambia. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, one and all. Now, schedule for today's webinar is as follows. From 11:15 a.m. to 11:40 a.m., we will be starting off with a panel, and the topic will be the future of cannabis is purpose-driven brands. Let me repeat that. The future of cannabis is purpose-driven brands. From 11:40 a.m. to 11:55 a.m., I will introduce the investor judges. From 11:55 a.m. to 2 p.m., we will have company presentations to the panel of investor judges. From 2 p.m. to 2:10 p.m., we will have voting by the investor judges, and you, the audience, will have an opportunity to vote for the company that gave the best presentation. We will announce the audience winner. The judges will each vote for one company and tell us why this is their choice. We will add up the judges' votes to come up with a total, and the company that has the most individual judges' votes will be the overall judges' winner of the Investor Hot Seat. From 2:15 p.m. to 2:20 p.m., we will have the closing announcements. To close out the day from 2:20 p.m. to 3:44 p.m., we'll be hosting a Zoom room networking. Now, a few webinar items to cover. First, if you want to submit a question, just use the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Please make sure you are chatting with all panelists and attendees. After the final presentation, the webinar audience will be presented with a pop-up window on your computer or device, whatever you're using, where you'll be able to vote for your #1 company presentation. We are currently in what is called a Zoom webinar. At 2:20 p.m., when it is time for the networking event, we will switch from this Zoom webinar to a Zoom meeting room. There, you will have the opportunity to interact with the speakers, investor judges, presenting companies, and the audience. And to join the Zoom room networking, you will need to register again for the Zoom meeting. You were emailed the Zoom link prior to the event. We will post the registration link in the chat. This registration link is also located on the Investor Hot Seat website and the Cannabis Investing Forum website. Let me repeat that. This registration link is also located on the Investor Hot Seat website and the Cannabis Investing Forum website. To the presenting companies and speakers, I will work to bring you questions from the audience. We also recommend that you monitor the chat to answer questions directed to you. I could strongly encourage you to do so. Interaction with the audience is one of the best ways to gain exposure. And as a reminder, you may access the webinar agenda, presenting companies, investor judges, and featured speakers information and contact information at the Investor Hot Seat website, www.investorhotseat.com. That's www.investorhotseat.com. Now, I've been asked to share about myself as an investor and entrepreneur. I am John Nemanic, and I have been investing for over 35 years, and I have co-founded over 10 companies. I have taken public in the technology sector 3 companies in the capacity of president, CEO, or chairman, with 2 9-figure and 1 8-figure exits. A few of my successes have been Hostopia.com, sold to Deluxe Communications for $124 million, Internet Direct merged with Look Communications for a deemed value of $560 million, and 2 Cows, sold for $45 million to the Steinmetz Group. Last time I checked, 2 Cows on NASDAQ had a market cap of over $700 million. Perhaps it wasn't my smartest trade, but certainly very profitable. I currently invest in multiple sectors, including technology, mining private placements, cannabis private placements, convertible debentures, Bitcoin, options, real estate, and so forth. My cannabis investments are located in Canada, USA, and Colombia. In Canada, for example, I am chair for Province Brands, and in Colombia, I am the president of the Green Mile, a licensed cannabis producer. In addition, I am partnered with my spouse, Professor Dr. Sandra Carrillo, a medical cannabis specialist, Medican IPS, our clinics in Colombia, are focused on patients' wellness and collecting real-world evidence. We also have an online education platform targeting medical doctors in Latin America. Having a partner who is a medical doctor and professor with contacts on 5 continents gives me an unfair advantage in the medical cannabis space. Actually, I should correct it. It's 6 continents. For example, instead of Dr. Google, imagine calling top researchers and medical doctors in the global sphere and obtaining correct answers that would normally take hundreds of hours of research and advanced medical understanding to discern. My biography may be found in www.investorhotseat.com, along with the biographies of the presenters and judges. I encourage you, point your browser to www.investorhotseat.com and learn more about the extraordinary people you are watching today. Now, let's get started with this episode of Investor Hot Seat. Our first presentation today will be a panel, and the topic being discussed will be the future of cannabis is purpose-driven brands. I'll repeat that. Future of cannabis is purpose-driven brands. Our panel moderator is Davina Kaunohi. I love that. It's musical. Kaunohi, CEO, Element Apothec, and she will be joined on her panel by Joe Witt, Vice President, Business Development of Tag One, and Hayden Fullstone, co-founder, Liquid IV. Davina is the CEO and co-founder of Element Apothec. She is a seasoned entrepreneur with over 20 years experience in B2C, technology, and recruiting sectors. She has experience in startup strategy development, leadership, people strategy, recruitment, and organizational development. As a strategic leader and brand creator, Davina is passionate about challenging the norm and making a difference with every company she has worked with. With Element Apothec, Davina brings to the table vast experience in team building, business strategy, and operational management, and a mission to create good in the world. I will now yield to Davina. Please welcome her.
Hi, thank you so much, John. And thank you, Brad, for putting together such an incredible event. Every time there's more amazing panelists and speakers and presenting companies. So I'm really happy to be here and such a great group of people. As John mentioned, I'm Davina, the CEO and co-founder of Element Apothec, and we're a new body care and wellness brand really positioned to redefine the industry, focused on clean, safe, and effective products. And we really are a purpose-driven brand, which is why this topic to me is so exciting. The future of cannabis, I think, not just cannabis, but across all industries, consumers are really starting to look for purpose-driven brands and decisions that they make. So I'm happy to be talking about this today and bringing some of these questions and answers to the community here. So as part of the panel, I'm excited to be here with Hayden Fullstone, as you mentioned, who is not only the co-founder of Liquid IV, but also is a business advisor to small and mid-sized companies, as well as an investor. And Joe Witt of Tag One, he's the VP of Business Development. So we're going to be going through and having some Q&A. If you have any questions from the audience, please feel free to post that in the chat and we'll try to answer those questions as they come in. So to start out, Joe, I would love for you to introduce yourself and tell a little bit more about what you're doing at Tag One.
Great. Thanks, Davina. It's awesome to be here and appreciate you guys including us. So a little bit on my background. I've been an entrepreneur, early stage founder for close to 20 years, which is a little bit scary. Mostly software and as well as some services, been in the crowdsourcing business and connected with the team at Tag One. I love the mission and vision, ultimately is what it came down to. And previously, I helped start a nonprofit that helped veterans, military veterans start and grow businesses. So, I was able to capture and dive into organizations that had a higher purpose. And so when TJ and Manish started the company, probably 4 or 5 years ago, they built the software. And I had a chance to talk with them. I just was passionate about the opportunity to go out and track products seed to sale, to build in tech traceability into software and solutions so that we have a better idea about what we're putting in and on our bodies. Blockchain is just a component of that. I know that probably gets more headlines than it deserves, but it's a way that we can build in product provenance and make sure that what people are putting in their data is actually what it is. So great topic today. I'm excited to be here and answer more questions.
Great, thank you, Joe. And to turn it over to Hayden, would you introduce yourself and tell a little bit about what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Davina. Nice to be here. Excited to see you all. Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. My name's Hayden. As Davina said, I am the co-founder of Liquid IV. So back in 2012, I had a crazy idea to create a product in an extremely crowded market. And was naive enough and got lucky enough and worked hard enough along the way to make it a success. And earlier this year, about a month ago, our business was actually acquired by Unilever. So super exciting to be able to have grown that business up. And now I've been fortunate enough to work with other early stage startups and small businesses like Davina to advise them on their growth and actually invest in some of those businesses. So that's a little bit about me, and we'll jump into more of the mission driven stuff in a bit.
Great, thank you so much. It's interesting, this topic, because I was just reading something recently and it said consumers really want to buy from companies that are just doing right by the people and the planet, and it continues to drive the shift towards purpose-driven brands. And I think that doesn't only apply to consumers buying products, but to decision makers deciding what businesses they're going to work with and why they're going to work with those companies. And some of the statistics I recently came across is 50% of consumers are willing to spend more for a purpose-driven brand. 68% of consumers are willing to switch from a known brand to an unknown purpose-driven brand. 78% of consumers would tell others to buy from a purpose-driven company. So the numbers are continuing to shift. I think I read something else that said 30% of people today can say now more than they did 2 years ago that they are completely focused on only buying products from purpose-driven brands. So it's definitely a topic and something that's important for consumers, for brands, for investors to consider when they're looking at what brands that they're moving into. So now we'll go into some of the questions and answers. And again, if you have any questions, if you're in the audience, please feel free to put those in the chat and we'll try to take some time to answer those questions. So Joe, this question's for you. And if you could tell us, you talked a little bit about Tag One, but if you can tell us, what is it about your mission and purpose that really sets Tag One apart from some of the other companies in this space?
Sure. So, when we looked at, what drove our purpose, I think it starts at home. our personal experiences. And so the co-founders and myself, we've all had some level of autoimmune or cancer in our families. It's hard to, of course, diagnose exactly what the source of those were, but it's something that probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense and may have a lot to do with what we're putting in on our bodies or what we're exposed to. So, I mean, if we were just, let's say, a software company and wanted to sell software, do companies do great, just focus on software and focus on revenues? Of course they do. But when we tie into what our higher mission is, which is how do we work with companies that are purpose-driven, that are focused on quality, focused on sustainability, focused on purity in what they're doing, and maybe growing their product from regenerative farms or organic, then suddenly there's a higher level of passion, a higher level of purpose when we're getting up in the morning, when we're working a little bit later at night, to know that there's a bigger picture here to make a change in the world. And so that has always been a cornerstone of what we're doing. At the end, we're an enterprise software platform, but we realize the companies we work with oftentimes have similar values and similar cultures to us, and that's where it starts. So I think the impact can ultimately have on talent, recruitment, and retention. It can have on, of course, the byproduct is a wonderful marketing message too, that you can integrate into your deck and your pitches and your message that people can resonate with, which I think we all want to do now, and is a good differentiation. And of course, we're changing the world. So that's ultimately, what attracted me to the company, and I think what helps attract us to other organizations.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think you drove home so many important points in terms of it's not just about the product that you create or the service you're providing to people, but it goes much deeper. And I think people are really looking from that now in terms of what is the purpose? How can I align with companies that have similar values? If you're an investor, why do I invest in this company? Because if you have a purpose and you have your why, you're going to work so hard to make sure that your company is successful. So that leads me over to Hayden, because obviously you've had some recent big success with some of the things you've started. And what was it that drove you to really start Liquid IV and now continue to work with mission-driven and purpose-driven brands to help them do the same thing?
Yeah, when we first started Liquid IV, and just to give everyone a little background on what it is, if you don't know, it's an electrolyte drink mix. So it's basically a healthier version of a sports drink or a way to hydrate. And so it's basically electrolytes and minerals and vitamins that you put in water and hydrates you more efficiently and effectively than just drinking plain water alone. So when we first started, we really, our mission early on was to help people live better lives. So that was like through health, through wellness, through just what we were doing in the community, through our company culture. And so we wanted to figure out a way to take that mission and not only help people who are buying our product, but figure out a way to apply that to other people who maybe couldn't afford our product, or in other places around the world who are and suffering from more serious illness or disease. And so we kind of landed on, we looked at businesses before us like Tom's and these other companies who had done one-for-one type things, and we implemented early on, we actually implemented a strategy where we just donated 30% of the product we were producing. And we realized that wasn't sustainable with our margins and different things early on. And so, we wanted to not only be a profitable business, but also help out. So we kind of figured out more of a one-for-one, where anyone who ordered our product from our website or from any of these different platforms we were selling on, we would donate a serving around the world to someone in need. So right from the beginning, I kind of established myself as our chief give back officer. And so I was really focused on building out relationships with giving partners around the world. And we started in Haiti, and that's kind of, I had a partner there that we were able to connect to and start donating product there. And then over time, we really expanded our mission to include other giving partners, which has allowed us to donate over 5 million servings of life-saving hydration around the world today. So.
Great, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that. Joe, I have a question from you. So as you've created this brand and working with it and looking at other brands that you partner with, how can purpose-driven brands, from your perspective, really drive this industry forward and help make the change that we all feel is necessary?
I think that when you talk about purpose-driven brands, I think ultimately what we're talking about is, mission. So being in the service before, you have to look at, well, what could you get people from all different backgrounds, races, sexes, to suddenly do something in a unified manner and do things that are borderline crazy, right? Like we're going to go do a mission and there's going to be people shooting at you, and yet you have to go achieve that mission. And yet our backgrounds don't really matter. So when you talk about building in a purpose-driven mission, it's a way to pull your team together. It builds a higher level of accountability. It builds leadership. It builds humility. And all those are the cores of running a good operational business. There have been some recent large CBD businesses, and certainly on the cannabis side too, that have failed, yet they've raised tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, and have had the full support of extremely powerful political figures. Why? Why did they fail when other agile companies who have a higher purpose and some humility are succeeding? It's because they didn't have the right culture. So I think inherently what we're talking about is building the cornerstone of culture and organizations, and something that is going to integrate integrity and humility to understand we're still learning as we go. It's a young industry.
Great, thank you. And Hayden, I'd like to ask you the same question from your perspective. How can purpose-driven brands drive this industry forward? And I think not just cannabis, it applies across the board to all industries.
Yeah, I mean, Joe said it perfectly, but I think from my perspective, you have to have brands have to have a vision and then a mission for that vision that they're obsessed about, basically, and that they're just like, it gets ingrained in the company culture, and everyone, it falls down to every decision you make, is it moving towards this vision and towards this mission? And I think that companies have to have core values and guiding principles, and companies that have those and follow those are the ones that are going to survive and make it, because they'll do whatever it takes to make those happen. So for us, it was all about figuring out what our mission was early on, and that was helping people live better lives. All right, is what we're doing today, is it working towards that? Is it, that's really our mission and vision in growing the business. So
great, thanks. Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day about purpose-driven brands and preparing actually for this, and they said, sometimes I wonder, is your mission and purpose really matter? Is it just marketing jargon? And I said, no, it really matters, because it's the drive behind the decisions you make. It's what unifies all of the decisions in terms of, like what Joe said, in hiring, in putting together your practices and the products that you build, and the consumers and other business partners are always thinking about that when they're focused on companies that really have a strong mission. So with that, Joe, I know Tag One's really been focused on, how do you communicate this type of message so that people know that you're just not putting out a great product that people can use and a great platform, but that there's so much more behind that. So how can a company communicate their purpose and their mission?
I'd say one, it starts internally, and that starts with literally writing down the values of your organization and pulling into ideally your whole team, but depending on the size of the company, maybe it's some of your core executive leaders, and say, hey, these are the 5 values or 7 values we're going to abide by. And everybody has permission to correct one another if we stray from those values. And that sometimes means making hard decisions, like, man, somebody's really talented, but they just don't fit the values, and letting them go. Or here's a hard one. Somebody wants to invest in your company, and yet their values don't align with your company values, and say, no, we're not going to take that money. So it starts there, and that's the core, and that's really the heartbeat of the organization operation. And then from there, you start to, hire a really good marketer, and then make sure that is of course, in the fabric of all that you're doing as an organization, and then weaving that into your messaging, whether it's, webinars or social media, and just letting people know. And then, I love, of course, what Hayden talked about, like they're investing in supporting Haiti. And I think that's where his heart is. But as with anything, when the tree falls in the forest, you have to let people know what happened and how you're making an impact. That's just part of the benefit and value. So, I mean, you talked about it too. People are going to, sometimes question, because we're all skeptics, or there's a lot of skeptics in the world, but to say, no, we're actually here and focused on doing the right things, and that comes first. So, yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Great, thank you. And what about you, Hayden, especially because you work as a business advisor? What's the best way that companies really can communicate their purpose? I know, for example, with Element Apothic, we're really focused on not just the people that we have as part of our team, but the companies that we partner with the types of education and information that we continue to put out there. And so what would be your recommendation to companies starting out in terms of what would be the best way to communicate that?
Yeah, I think that's something that I struggled with a lot actually when we were building out our mission was how do I show people the things that we're doing that are good, because I always felt, because I was going to these different places, going to Haiti, going to Africa, and I felt weird or awkward or uncomfortable trying to showcase that or figure out how to create messaging around that. But to let people know, because obviously that's going to support you with, you know, with your marketing, and then people really understand like what you stand for as a business and a company. So yeah, no, it's super important. I think exactly what Joe said. It starts internal. You gotta write those things down, have them up on the wall, have that, you know, get really ingrained in part of your company and your culture, and make sure that that resonates with your customer service, with everything, with your packaging, with like it. And that's another big place, making it on your packaging if possible, through your emails that you send out when people order, and like letting them know that they're supporting good causes. Yeah, you just have to. It starts with, yeah, it starts internally, then work on your messaging, and get that really down succinct to what you want it to say and stand for, and then you can start to put it out through your, you know, on your website, and then it'll just start to become part of the company and really everything you do, and spreading it out from there. So.
Great. Yeah, thanks. So Joe, I have another question for you. And you mentioned it earlier in terms of making decisions on businesses that you partner with. And so what are some of those deciding factors that you go into it? And have you at all been inclined to turn away from businesses that really don't align with some of the messaging that you're putting out there?
It's a good question. So it cuts both ways, being that we're a blockchain software that provides tech traceability and integrated supply chain. You know, we first went out, we target a lot of supplement companies and thought, you know, there's a lot of support from some of the larger supplement associations, and we were getting a lot of good PR, but the interest from the corporations and the spenders wasn't quite matching up to the buzz early on. What we did find is like, oh, when people talk about sustainability or transparency and organic, and they do things the right way, they tend to show more interest inherently. And then a little light bulb, maybe a big light bulb went off in my head, like, oh, it's not the industry per se. It's we're already aligned. Like our values are already aligned for what we're trying to do and what they're doing. And in some ways, the people who want us aren't necessarily the ones that need us. It's the people that need us who probably who don't want us that probably need us the most oftentimes. But you know, great companies want to get better inherently, and so it started to come together. So yeah, to your point, one of our core products, Tag One Connect, is QR code labeling for your packaging, where people can pick it up, scan it with a mobile device. You can show their certificate of analysis, the source, where it's grown, where it's processed, put cool videos and photos on there, social connect. So it's a great packaging component, and a great way to engage consumers and differentiate yourself with retailers. However, there's some people who want to use that technology and not necessarily do the right thing on the back end. Hey, we want the, you know, you know, kind of the whipped cream, but you know, we don't have any real product behind it. Terrible analogy, but I think you guys get my point. So there have been times when we've just kind of slowly backed away from those companies and said, yeah, we're not going to let you use our platform to talk about transparency and good quality if you're not using good transparency and good quality. And that's something we put in our terms and conditions, which is like what you say you put on here, you're responsible for, and kind of have high level expectations. But we shake those out internally. But yeah, it is important to work with companies that we believe in who use our platform.
Great. Yeah, it's funny. Somebody just had typed in the chat that cash is king, and sometimes it's not about money these days. And I think that's a decision that all companies and brands have to make at some point. Is there may be money on the table, but who do you want to align yourself with, and how does that drive your business forward? And those decisions that you're making, not just from people that want to partner with you, but investors that are looking to invest their money to know what the long-term success of your company is going to be. Are you really aligned with this, or are you just saying that and you'll take any money that comes on the table?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing to remember when you're getting investors, like it's a marriage, right? Like the work has just begun. That investor didn't give you money so you can go relax and put your feet in the sand. He gave you money to make more money and expects a certain return on investment. So if you don't think that there's accountability on your part when you accept somebody's check, you need to check yourself. It's hard work, and that requires communication from both sides. And at the same time, if you're accepting money from an investor who's not sophisticated and doesn't understand that it's rarely linear from point A to point B from when you're going to make money, and there's going to require a lot of pivots, like they should know the risks that go into investing in a company as well. It's a two-way street, and you need to find as somebody I can go to battle with, and who can provide some good insights and solve problems together.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I think everyone sitting here on this panel and the judges are considering that as they're looking at the companies that are going to be presenting today. So to Hayden, I know you've recently started making investments, and what type of value do you place on companies that are more mission purpose driven? How do you determine that?
Yeah, it's super important to me. I think there are really like three key things that I look for in companies that I invest in. And the first thing is the founders and the people running the business. And if I align with their values and I can see their determination and their obsessiveness with making that a success, that business. So that's one thing. The other thing is, usually the product or the brand. You can always improve. You can always improve the brand. You can always improve the product depending on kind of the industry. But that's huge. And then the third thing for me is really, do they have some sort of focus on sustainability and are they, are they trying to make the world a better place in one way or another? Whether that's through helping people heal or creating some sort of healthier product. I'm also very, very conscious of the environment. So looking for things that are as sustainable as possible, cutting down on plastic and waste and all the above. So those are probably the biggest things I look for, even more so than like proven sales or anything like that. I'm obviously investing in a lot of like early stage, so higher risk companies, but I've been there before and it's possible. And so, yeah, those are the kind of the key things that I look for.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so we only have a few minutes left if anybody has any questions, but I'd like to kind of end it with each of you, talking through a little bit about what this topic was and what it personally means to you, and how you'll continue as a brand to continue driving this forward. So I'll start with Joe.
Yeah, sure. So, I think ultimately everybody, needs to pick in their life a mission. And of course that mission can change, but I think we've all found that when there's something that's bigger than us, when we're giving back in some capacity to the world and not just trying to take from it, greater things happen. We attract people who have that similar mindset. And that when we say attract people, that doesn't just mean customers, that means talent and people who we work together. It means investors, it means mentors. And so ultimately, when you're developing that culture of something that's going to be sustainable, and I talk about in my coaching business about cultivating sustainability, having a higher purpose that's bigger than us and having an impact in this world is important. And there's all different components as it comes to this industry. Hayden's picked one where he's investing in people who need a lot of help in Haiti, but it could be about sustainability. It could be about eliminating plastics. It could be about, Davina, I know you're getting into like kind of regenerative and organic products and making sure that they're very pure and high quality. So everybody can pick what they're most passionate about and can have an impact and drive that forward. It's just a better way to live. I think, one of the things I think the younger generation has got right to say it's not just about the bottom line, and realizing that when we invest, which ultimately is an investment in higher purposes, there actually does impact the bottom line. Like it's kind of a triple bottom line component.
Great, thank you so much. And Hayden?
Yeah, so I think basically I think if you're not finding a way to incorporate some sort of give back or sustainability or something that's really attempting to make the world a better place, then you're really missing out on opportunity. I believe that humans and people are innately good, and I think it's our kind of duty to do good, help each other, create businesses that are responsible and going to make all of our lives better. So I think generally, like, I would just challenge everyone to look at their business, look at their mission, look at their values and their vision, and constantly be reevaluating it too. Every quarter, every year, looking at, are we still headed in the right direction? Have we lost our way? Are we too focused on, maybe making money or whatever? Obviously making money is good and you can't have a business if you don't do that. But I definitely challenge people to try to incorporate, some sort of give back or mission or sustainability really into their brands and their companies. So.
Great, thank you. I completely agree. I think people deserve better, and we all have a responsibility to meet those needs. And people are really hunting and searching and willing to pay more, willing to partner with companies that are doing that. And by doing that, especially in this industry where there's a lot of stigmas against us and people still unsure about what we're doing, we all have a responsibility to do better. And that is in everything that we do. So I thank you. I think we're right on time actually of finishing. Thank you, Joe and Hayden, for participating.
Thanks, Davina. This is awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Davina. Really appreciate it. Thank you all for having us. That was great.
Bye, thanks.
And thank you, Davina, Joe, and Hayden. That was very informative and extremely useful information for me as an investor and for our audience. Their information is priceless. Literally thousands of hours of experience distilled into bite-sized pieces. I hope everyone was paying attention. It actually makes me feel better to know that we have a generation of leaders who are looking at more than strict dollars. Anyways, enough of my philosophizing. I will now describe the format of the investor hot seat. I'll start by introducing our panel of investor judges, but I want first to describe the format of the investor hot seat to our judges, presenting companies, and audience. We will be hearing a total of 9 presentations today from speakers and presenting companies raising capital. There were 50 companies that registered to present at the investor hot seat, and 9 were selected to present at today's webinar. By my math, that's only 18% of applicants were selected. Each company will receive 13 minutes to present and answer questions by judges. I will introduce the investor judges. I will introduce each presenting company. Recommend that companies do 7 minutes of presentations and allow 6 minutes of Q&A from the judges and a 1-minute transition for the next presentation. I will be very strict in terms of observing the time limits, and 1-minute warnings on presentations and Q&A will be given. Judges, please, they will raise their hands and or indicate if they want to ask a question. Judges are requested to have 1 question for each presentation, and presenting companies should keep answers at 90 seconds or less so we can have 3 to 4 investor judges ask questions from each presenter. At the end of the 9 presentations, the investor judges and audience will vote on the best presentation. I will announce the winning presentation selected by the judges and the winning presentation selected by the audience. So, in alphabetical order, I will now introduce the investor judges. They will describe their background in 2 minutes or less. I'll start with fabulous Carol Ortega, Managing Director, Muisca Capital, from one of my favorite countries in the world, Colombia. Carol, please take it away. Are you muted? Are you muted, Carol? I don't hear you. While we're waiting for Carol to get her mic set up, I would like to say that for me, the pleasure of being associated with this group of people is amazing. And this is actually, I guess it's my 4th time here now, and I've enjoyed this time. I've enjoyed being here. I've enjoyed learning from people, and I continue to enjoy. So let's give Carol Ortega a chance to adjust her situation, whatever it may be. And let's move on to Dr. David Cunic, CEO, USC Advisors, and one of the brainiest guys in the cannabis sector. David, please.
Thanks a lot, John. And it's UCS Advisors. People out in California get it mixed up with the USC Trojan horses. So
I'm
all
so
good,
sorry
my
about
friends.
that.
Good seeing
My
you as always,
apologies.
buddy. No, all good, all good. It's good seeing everyone here. Once again, Dr. David Cunic. CEO and co-founder of UCS Advisors and Investor Relations. By trade, doctor of physical therapy and a second doctor in healthcare management. Really a serial entrepreneur. Been blessed to have been in this cannabis sector for over 10 years. Actually took one of my companies public back in 2009 and have actually started 7 different cannabis companies in 5 different states. Over the last several years, we've helped secure capital, raise capital, and funded over $20 million into the cannabis sector. And I'm really excited to hear our presenters today speak. And John, thank you for the introduction once again. Brad Turner, thank you, and look forward to being here today.
Thank you, David. That was awesome. So let's move on to Jeff Kendig, Managing Partner, Bravos Capital. Took a quick peek at your bio, by the way, and Jeff, your background is extremely impressive. I don't know how you can distill in 2 minutes or less, but give it a shot.
Well, thank you, John. My name is Jeff Kendig. I am the founder and managing partner of Bravos Capital. I have probably over 14 years now of direct investment experience from the mainstream venture capital and private equity world. Started Bravos Capital over 2 years ago now, probably 2.5 years ago now, to focus primarily in the emerging cannabis and hemp industries. And so we've been making investments kind of across the board, both in ancillary as well as leaf touching deals. We started off doing primarily equity investments, although over the last 12 months, we've actually probably consummated more debt investments or kind of working capital type bridge loan type investments for companies that are already kind of generating revenues and some cash flow. So we're opportunistic as it relates to the sector. We look for the right structure for the particular company, and sometimes that's more of a debt story, sometimes it's more of an equity story. So we try and be flexible with how we approach every opportunity. Looking forward to being here.
Great, thank you for that, Jeff. And now on to Lindsay, Blackett, CEO of Peakterra Ventures from my former stomping grounds of Alberta. Welcome. Hello, Lindsay.
Sorry about that. Got to unmic myself. Greetings from very cold Calgary, Alberta. I have been in this industry for about 5 years, and I came in with a unique background in that I was an elected official at the state level. I was a cabinet minister in our government in Alberta. And after that, I was involved with helping run a First Nations community. And then I got into cannabis, as I said, about 5 years ago, helping a friend trying to apply for a license for a cultivation facility here in Canada. From that experience, which she decided not to go ahead, I helped start a group, Canadian Cannabis Chamber here, to try to be an aggregator, a collector, and helping the industry look forward to legalization that occurred back in 2018. From then on, I went to be a partner in a consulting firm, and where we help people get their businesses started. Usually the application process for whatever that business would be in the cannabis and hemp space. But with that, we realized we had to help with business plans, and business plans also meant that the financials had to be looked at. A lot of people in a very complex business don't qualify to even get to the starting gate because they just don't have those tools. So we realized we evolved to having shared services such as legal, accounting, and regulatory, branding, and distribution to help those companies. Peakterra realized what the industry needs is more people to help as the GUI, the interface, to get them to the other resources that they need to be successful. And we look at companies in a range of different areas to help do that.
That's amazing, Lindsay. You have such an interesting eclectic background. I encourage everybody to go to the website that I've mentioned many times before, investorhotseat.com, and check out his bio and other bios as well. So on to Josh Kincaid, no stranger to Investor Hot Seat, capital markets analyst, SuperChronics. Take it away, Josh. I don't know. Are you muted, Josh?
Got it. Thank you. Yes, I'm a host of a cannabis business podcast called The Talking Hedge, and then also with SuperChronics, a boutique advisory firm. We're focusing on cannabis finance, data analytics, risk management, and compliance with an emphasis on strategic partnerships, mergers and acquisitions, and international expansion. Couple of investments is around the cannabis health and beauty aids, as well as fintech. One of the platforms is nominated for Benzinga Fintech Awards in about 2 weeks for Best AI Platform and Best Alternative Investment. It was up 92% last year in the cannabis space. Also investing in cannabis tech. And we just got into a Canadian cultivator recently, so we'll see how that goes.
That's great. Love to hear how that turns out. And on to Terry Buffalo, CEO, American Cannabis Company. Just wanted to say I checked out your website and I do love your packaging and your branding. So Terry, please tell us in 2 minutes or less about your very extensive background.
Thanks, everyone. I've been in the cannabis space now for about 5 years. Prior to that, I was in the investment securities world. I used to own and run brokerage firms for about 25 plus years. So I come with an interesting background now into the cannabis space because I handle the public side of the company, needless to say. The company has been around for about 7+ years. We've won numerous licenses in multiple states. We've built out about 1.5 million square foot of grow space. We understand the cultivation aspect very well. We do have some proprietary Sohum, a product called Sohum, which is very sustainable. It's a very clean, as we like to term it, as the cage-free cannabis, because again, people are looking more for quality and health products. The company itself right now, we are in a transition. We're still consulting, but we are looking to make acquisitions in the plant touching space going forward. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to be on this panel today.
That's great, Terry. Thank you for that. And now, Timothy Lozott, CEO, Greenlight Capital. Again, I checked out your bio, extremely impressive. So, Timothy, please do your best to summarize all your accomplishments in less than 2 minutes.
Thanks, John. I appreciate that. You can call me Tim. I'm Tim Lozott, CEO and Managing Director of Greenlight Capital, where I identify companies to finance their growth. I'm a mentor at Techstars and Canopy Boulder. I recently led the turnaround of a cannabis company in Nevada, where for one example, I took one of their dispensaries' monthly revenue from $300,000 to over $1 million a month. I then led the sale of that company for $70 million, which was just under 9 times the capital return on the investment. I've been an integral part of raising over $2 billion in fund management for 9 real estate investment funds, which today are worth $10 billion today. Great team, though. No thanks to me on that growth, though. I've personally invested in several companies. I've participated in several M&As as well. I also spend my time consulting our portfolio companies and other companies, often acting as an outsourced CFO or COO. And in what almost feels like a lifetime ago, I'm a combat veteran from previously serving on active duty in the Marines. Greenlight Capital we're empowering private equity emerging growth companies by providing one-stop full spectrum capital solutions. So we have working relationships with family offices, ultra high net worth individuals, and private wealth, and which gives us the ability to finance from $250,000 to $50 million in a single transaction. So last year, or since 2019, we've financed $160 million in growth capital and commercial real estate. Our current money pool consists of about $500 million, and we have access to more when we've deployed that. One of the things that sets us apart from the rest is our ability to finance cannabis and technology companies and really other industries as well with our revenue-based capital infusion. It's non-dilutive, and it helps them with growth capital at a lower cost to the founders and shareholders than equity-based financing. So thank you for having me. I am humbled to be amongst such an accomplished group here. I really look forward to hearing from some great companies and leaders here. Thank you, Brad, for having us. Thank you, John. Great job.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Anyways, on to last but certainly not least, the fabulous Carol Ortega, Managing Director, Muisca Capital Group from Colombia. Well, again, as I said before, one of my favorite companies. Carol, please take it away. 2 minutes or less. Tell us what you do.
Thank you so much, John, for this great introduction. And thank you, Brad, for this amazing network. I'm impressed. Great job. It's such an honor to be here today, hearing all these amazing leading companies in the space, having the opportunity to network to this amazing set of asset managers and high-level investors. And well, I'm looking forward to hear more opportunities in the space and to study those opportunities in order to advise our network of investors and keep capitalizing in this beautiful industry. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Carol. Thank you. Now, everyone, how's that for a lineup of judges? You, as part of this audience, have access to some of the top players in the cannabis industry. I've already suggested to Brad Turner, the producer and event organizer, that he is not properly valuing what he is providing to you, the audience. You, the audience, are enjoying an incredible bargain. Anyways, I will now start introducing the presenting companies in alphabetical order, and I will start with Barry Perkins, CEO, Veed. Remember, you have 7 minutes and 6 minutes. Go ahead, Barry, please. Okay, great. Barry, if you can hear me, I think you're muted.
There. Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good
There
to
we
go.
go.
You're good to go.
Apologies there. All right. Thank you for having me here. It's great to have an opportunity to talk to you, but more importantly, actually to listen to and meet so many of you. Veed is looking as a company to transform the cannabis market space. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but it's a global market membership and marketplace, and we're facilitating commerce in the cannabis market. As we go through here, I'll talk to you a little bit about a commerce facilitator, but our effort is to help everybody in the cannabis space grow and be successful. To start off with, you're all familiar with the numbers in the cannabis space around the world. The numbers are large and they're growing, especially as the legislation changes. If you look at the target addressable market that we're going after globally, almost $1.4 billion, but we're initially focused exclusively in North America for now, which is, as you can see, $37.9 billion. Our projection in the next 2 years, at the end of that 2-year period, our annual gross revenue will be $40 million. So how do we approach this? The current cannabis market is making a transition from the illicit to the legal space. We all live there. It's got some interesting challenges. Any new market has inefficiencies that are built into it. The current structure, as it grows, is complex. It limits people's access to growth. It reduces the amount of effort it takes to drive growth, reduces your profits. And the whole concept of getting your message out and helping people be aware is a prepaid advertising and marketing space. That's not based upon us. That's the Googles, the Facebooks, all of those people of the world. It's high costs and extremely low returns. So if you're stepping into this market, it's complex. And how do you make money in that? Alongside with that, the path to purchase in the space has changed, especially with COVID. There's an even more dramatic increase in online purchases. And what's fascinating is the level of trust that people put in recommendations from others, even those that they don't know. And even more fascinating right now is of online sales, 55% of them are for products that are discovered on social media, which means your presence in social media and media is incredibly important. So how do you get there? Well, that's kind of the problems that in the market. The way we're addressing it is that we are a commerce facilitator. You're all familiar with payment facilitators, the Stripes of the world. How do you move the actual cash from one place to another? In our space, the challenge is that the market being fragmented, how do the businesses on the B2B side communicate with each other? And how do the businesses to consumers communicate with each other? And how do you connect with consumers? And how do you access the media and the social network? We connect all of them so that they can all work with together, know who each other is, know how to access the network and leverage the network effect that's out there. The key element that we have in what we do is the social mechanism and a complete attribution of the entire chain. We enable the business side to know your customers, even on the wholesale side to know your customers, so you can build the right product at the right time for the right place and make it get out to sale. So in that whole idea of getting network or people out and selling for you and talking about your product, instead of doing prepaid through Facebooks and other kinds of advertising, with most people taking recommendations from friends, people they know, even people they don't know when they talk about reviews, we're focused on co-sellers. We introduce the makers, the sellers, and the buyers through people who are co-sellers. What do they do? Why would they want to do it? Because they get paid. They get paid to actually participate in this space. And those co-sellers drive your sales funnel, and they drive it at scale in a profitable fashion with a reduced cost because they do the communication, they leverage their networks. You're not trying to find those networks. And that whole, the funnel where the co-seller actually does the work, that is the turbocharger to your engine that we provide. And that works because we can do the attribution and have the data and the analytics to understand and present that so you can leverage it. Well, that's if you get a co-seller. Well, how do you get co-sellers to start with? First and foremost, the best reviewers of your company that make the best recommendations are your customers. And those customers are paying to buy your product. Well, as we go along in the way we have this structured, they buy a product, they learn how to actually become a co-seller and make money talking about a product, your product, that they love. And that increases your awareness in the market, and it drives a new growth to your customer base because you get new customers reading those recommendations, and then they go and buy. And you're not doing the work for it. But that's still a limited growth model. So how do we drive growth at scale? We work with the media companies. Media companies, as we all know, are struggling to find a way to drive revenue in the current space as the evolution of the media space goes. We have the engine that enables them to make money by talking about you and what you do, not in a prepay, but a postpay. I'm not taking away from the ad units they already have. It's an additional ability for them to make money and the place to present to co-sellers. Imagine a media company that's got 10 million subscribers posts out there that they would love to have the people join and sign and become co-sellers. You get 10%. That's a million. 10% of those are active. You suddenly have 100,000 co-sellers. That's how we drive growth at scale with the people that drive your business. So who do we have that we're working with right now?
Barry, you have 6 minutes left.
Okay. We are about to launch, and these are the companies that we have on board. They right now have $100 million of annual network GDP. That's their revenue, not our revenue. From there, this is the business model and the revenue that we are going to be getting and how we look to grow it. We have a business model underneath there, happily to go through all of that in due diligence with investors. This is the team. You can look us up. It's a very strong, powerful, capable team. And where we are right now, we're in the process of raising a $2 million convertible where we're looking to launch VEED next month. And based upon the current GDP of the network that we already have, of the brands that we have, and drive that growth from there. So this is VEED, and I'd love to have any questions and hear from you and talk to you about investing.
So I think, Barry, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to lead off. I saw your presentation before, and I want to commend you on improving it. But I still would like you to amplify upon the network effects. I think that's critical to your model, and I want to make sure other people also understand that as well.
That's a good point. Is the network effect is the ability to accelerate and drive growth through scale by leveraging people and their networks and how they work out. Every one of you has a network of people that you work with, that you talk to, that people look at and rely upon what you have to say. The network effect is as each person engages their network, and then the people in that network then engage their network. It grows exponentially. And this is how 1 becomes 100, becomes 1,000,000 people talking about your product. An example, in the businesses that are, this model underneath, the technology is based upon, in India right now, that area, we have a 400 million member network with companies like Shiro's that are coming on board using with 25 or 30 million members, right? That's what we're building in North America for cannabis.
Judges, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, John, there's a few of us that listed. I know Tim has a question. My quick question is just very simplistic, Barry. I know you went over your management team very quickly. Can you spend a quick 25 seconds just talking about your team's background and their experience in doing this type of business?
Okay. 2 points, or 1 point first. Quick, to John's point about the network effect, the people that get engaged sell and make money, and then they leverage the network revenue of all of the people they engage. That model and the structure was from engineering of prior companies by Amit Rathore, and he's listed there. He's built multiple companies that have gone live in India. He's the one that in those prior companies, it's 400 odd million people that are already part of it. He has done that before. Myself, you can look me up online. I joined Oracle Corporation when it was a startup with 200 people and just over 25 million of revenue. And 28 years later, after doing just about every job function there, it was 130,000 people, almost $40 billion of revenue. And my quota for my team was $1.5 billion a year for the last 5 years. Inside, I was an entrepreneur. I built new businesses, grew them to scale, mainstreamed them. So I have been building and starting businesses for decades. I stepped outside of Oracle, and now I'm doing it on my own. And I have a number of entities I've started. Our lawyer, as you can see in there, is got a tremendous background in this whole security space, as well as in dealing with the cannabis space. And you see our CPO, Naveen, he's the driving engine behind the AI, the data and elements. He has done incredible work in the past of what he does. And that's the key underlying model. So I think, hopefully, David, that answers your questions.
It does. Thank you very much, Barry. I appreciate that.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap this up very soon. Unfortunately, there's just so much there. I encourage you, by the way, Barry, to go into the Zoom chat afterwards, the Zoom room afterwards, and interact. So that was very good. Anyways, let's move on.
Thank you very much, John, and thank you all.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. I mean, you did the work. It's great. I like your model. So let's move on to Charles Wu, CEO of Pheno.ag. Charles, please go ahead. Take it away.
Great. Let me just check a few things. I'm first going to share my screen. Can you hear me okay, John?
I can.
Wonderful. Well, I'd like to start with the question and ask everyone in the audience, right? Have you ever wondered why it's so hard for good craft cultivators, growers, to raise capital? And I'll ask you another question and, see the audience is, are you interested in saying no to boring weed, while also finding a way to earn 10x over the next 5 years? Now, we all hear about, consolidation in the market. You've got all these big people coming in, and that's great. But the challenge we have with that is, with big companies, they don't have the diversity and the excitement of all the craft cultivators. And I'm going to tell you a little story of two craft cultivators that we know. One is Angela and one is Chris. Both of them are in their early 40s with good career backgrounds. They have experience in cannabis. They've developed great strains, and they're all motivated to succeed. However, the problem they both face is, even though they might have the knowledge and ideas to succeed, to actually get your craft brand out to market, you have a big implementation chasm to cross. And what does implementation mean, right? You've got to build a grow facility, whether it's 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 square feet. That's really hard to do, and it's really hard to make that jump. So, going back, how has Angela been able to succeed? And Chris is still in the process of trying to raise money to build his facility. What Angela has found and what she works with is a service that we offer called GAS. We call it growing as a service. And what GAS does is GAS provides that bridge for these craft cultivators, so they can take their knowledge and ideas, and prior to getting that 10,000 square foot facility built and waiting 18 months and running out of cash, they can actually get to market with their products and start building their brands. Now, what exactly is GAS and what does that mean? So today, GAS, we provide two services. One is for seed production, where we charge $700 a month for a seed cultivation space on a 4x4 square foot area. And that $700 a month provides about 7,000 seeds for the customer every harvest at a price of around 20 cents for feminized seed. We also have a flower offering where we charge $500 a month for a similar type space, and that translates into premium grown indoor flower for about $670 a pound. Now, why does GAS work, or how does it work? We have a platform that allows for customization and the remote management of the actual growing system. So you see here, this is one of our grow technicians you see on the left. He's outfitted with cameras and microphones. And when we're working with our clients, they're actually able to look over the shoulder, provide insight. We follow their SOPs, we follow their procedures and their processes, so that in our system, we're able to grow as they want, as they desire. And the other thing about why it works is we've tied that into a software and SaaS platform we call Alice OS, which is a full-featured control and automation, resource tracking and monitoring and analysis solution for our customers. So, someone like Angela, she has her ideas, she takes her ideas, we just download it, implement it in Alice, and then we implement. Now, the question a lot of people ask now is, okay, you get Angela going and she becomes successful, what happens next? What we're finding is, after the craft cultivators are using our service and they've gained success, they don't want to go build their own. They may want to build their own, but they still want us to continue working with them. So in addition to starting in a hosted environment, we're finding with our Alice OS platform and our growing as a service, there's additional recurring options for expansion. So in the case of Angela's particular situation, she's been successful with her seed production, and now she's building out a grow facility, and she's got this grow container, this kind of thing in the middle, and she wants to continue using our service to keep helping her run her business as she builds out the next stage of their facility. We're finding also this a lot because we're in Illinois, and right now there's Illinois caught up in licensing for all their 40 new craft cultivators. Many of them are saying, wow, we actually like this, we want to be running on this, and now that we're running on this, we want to use you for when if we get our license and we build out our 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 or plus square foot facility. So that's been a nice thing we've discovered. So What's going on right now? We currently have a 2,000 square foot pilot site where we've been running gas since the beginning of this year. We're at 100% leased capacity. And from a traction perspective, we are a profitable company. 2019, we had good numbers. 2020, when we launched gas, it's done well. Q4, we had a little bit of a slowdown in the middle of the year, but Q4 is looking good. We are totally booked out for the next year and can't complain. We're just executing. So let's dive into the specifics. So what are our unit economics? So, we mentioned we charge $700 a month for seed. Our OpEx on that comes out to about $250 a month. And our CapEx to build that seed unit or that facility that they can use comes out to about $6,400. So, we amortize that, I think, over a 5-year. So we end up, having a gross profit of around $300 a month when we service seeds. And if we're doing flower, it's $500 a month. Our CapEx is a little lower. Oh, yeah, I've got a typo there, but our CapEx is a little lower. It comes out to about $88 a month, amortized over a 5-year. And we run a gross profit of around $211 per unit. So what are we doing? Right now, we're sold out of capacity. We have people that want to turn on more service. We have a demand problem, and we need to expand. So we are seeking funding, a combination of equity and debt capital to build out a larger 18,000 square foot expansion facility from where we are at 2,000 square feet. We have a financial model that we can share, and based on our numbers of what we see and where our market's going, we believe by end of year 2023 we'll be generating around 7 or 8 million in revenue and running at around $3 million in EBITDA. Now, the question every investor wants to hear is, how will you make money if you invest in gas and in us? So first option we see is selling to a strategic partner. What we're finding is a lot of the manufacturers like the model that we give them because we get to the craft cultivators early and we get them running a system. And they are coming to us by saying, hey, can we use our products in your system, or have you, run your operations around that? A recent update, this is for you, John, because you heard us last month. We've actually had a manufacturer of containerized grow units that's just come to us and said, hey, we're going to finance 4 of these for you for the state of Illinois, so that your first 4 craft cultivator licensed customers who get licenses, we'll also give you a container for them for that next step, so that you can escalate them into a container so they can keep going down that route. So we see a good model.
Charles, you have 5 minutes left, by the way.
Okay, I'll wrap up soon. Our second option, we see now in terms of people moving on, we see a licensing out of our Alice OS platform and our SOPs and our operations. So we see that's an option. And then our option number 3 is if we keep building this way, we could also look at, additional capital and equity raises and going into a Series A. So where we are at right now, we are raising a $1 million bridge. We have raised 200,000 of that since we last presented. So we've got 800K to go, and that's where we're at. And I'll open it up to questions.
Hello, Lindsay. Would you like to take a shot at that?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of craft cultivators. I think the food stock that they provide to all the range of products that we have is sometimes underestimated. Where would you see the opportunities once you have legalization, you're able to cross state by state? Does that make any difference in your model going forward?
I would say, today in our model, we are not growing THC marijuana. We're growing either indoor hemp flower or feminized CBD seed. So we don't have that issue. being in Illinois and being in the midst of a state that's legalizing, that's gone from, you know, nothing in January to probably being almost $1 billion market this year. And with all the new license activity, we see a lot on that. We actually, and you know, this is a side thing, you know, I have a personal mission where I'm very passionate about social equity. And we have gotten some interest from other states who are interested in our model, because one of the challenges with social equity is, you know, you've got people that are qualified, but they don't have capital. And just getting started, I mean, you know, even in the state of Illinois, you know, your small craft grow facility of 5,000 square feet, it's $5 or $6 million to get that thing going. I mean, it just is what it is. And that's hard to raise. So there's some fascinating possibilities where, you know, I guess this is in some ways, it's like an incubation model. It's more of like a shared co-location model. You know, I come from a telecom background. So we looked at this as like, hey, you know, data centers existed, and 20 years ago, you had to build your own data center, and now you go to AWS. You know, we kind of, you know, gas is, you know, growing as a service, right? So it just makes sense for us, and there are some interesting possibilities. I think from our side, we are like in the muck of things and executing. We're just trying to, you know, we're in a situation where it's like, if I can build out, I've got people looking for the service that want to buy, and I just need to solve that problem of building out. So I see that there is a big opportunity, but we haven't really looked into it for out of state, because our in-state opportunity, we just have to, you know, we have to kill what's in front of us.
Okay. Charles, there's 2 questions left. I have a question from Tim, and I don't know if we'll have time to squeeze in Jeff. If you can be really, really quick with Tim, we'll probably get Jeff in there as well. Go ahead, please, gentlemen.
Hey, Charles, great presentation. I think I've said it before. I've seen your presentation. I like the model. I'm looking at the scalability of it, though. Talk about the revenues. I say the revenues for 2019 were really great. 2020, obviously, COVID. But what's happened there? And then could you also just talk about what's your customer acquisition costs?
Well, our revenue, I only stated gas revenues. In 2020 revenues, they're not 2019, they're slightly lower. But you know, we're still doing about 600,000 or 700,000 for 2020. In terms of customer acquisition costs, traditionally what's happened is, and this goes back to 2019 revenues, we offered a lot of training and education on indoor cultivation. So we would run boot camps, we'd run all those sorts of things. And that's how we acquire customers. It's similar to, you know, a company out there. I know I'm going to use tech example because that's where I come from, is Cisco, right? You pay for your Cisco certification to become a networking, you know, a telecom professional. And we do a lot of indoor cultivation training. So what happens is our customer acquisition, I don't want to say it's zero, but our training business gives us a nice customer base or a prospect base of people who've paid us money to learn how to grow indoors, and we just kind of cull it that way. So the training business effectively pays for our customer acquisition.
That was great, Charles. Unfortunately, I have to wrap this up and we have to move on to our next presenter. I would encourage Jeff to contact you, or for you, Charles, to reach out to Jeff, because I think there may be some synergies there. So now, as I said before, I'm moving on in alphabetical order, and it's per first name. So the next presenter will be Dalvin Hicks, CEO of Neptune Cannabis Company. Dalvin, please take it away.
Hello, everyone. And like he said, I am the CEO of the Neptune Cannabis Company. And today I will be presenting you with the future of retail cannabis. So let's get started here. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, can everybody see the screen? All right. So Neptune Cannabis Company will be more than a dispensary. It will be a brand and a way of life. Neptune dispensaries offer a technology-enhanced shopping experience that will eliminate the stigma around cannabis retail while also providing high-quality products and excellent customer service. Our first location will be a licensed and operating dispensary in the West Hollywood area of Los Angeles. The reason why this dispensary is currently listed for sale is because the owner is focused on a larger grow operation in Northern California. And the reason why we picked this dispensary is because of the area that it's in. They average about 280,000 sales a month currently for the year of 2020. It's a high trafficked tourism area, and they have the current California licensing for the retail, delivery, manufacturing, distribution, and consumption, but they are only currently using their retail and delivery license. The Neptune advantage when we acquisition this company, we will provide lower operating costs because there's a lower staff requirement due to our technology enhanced shopping, and we will also provide a open layout dispensary design, which is different from traditional dispensaries. So we are in our seed round one, as we were successful in our initial pre-seed funding round during our concept development stage. Funds used in this round will allow us to acquire the operating dispensary and also the licenses transfer into our company name. And we shall be able to begin our retail operations by late spring 2021. And so this is just a highlight of where all the funds are going to and everything that we're going to be using. And so the goal of Neptune is to establish customer loyalty to our brand through excellent service and quality products. Our vision is to set a new standard for retail cannabis, and our mission is to build our brand on core values of customer service, quality, honesty, integrity, and community outreach. So I have a short video that explains the Neptune process and how our retail model is different from other current cannabis dispensaries. So I will go ahead and play that now. It's about 1 minute long. All right, so that's how our retail process works. So customers will be able to place their order in store or on their mobile app, and their order should be ready in 5 minutes or less, where we'll cut down waiting times and also reduce person-to-person contact in our stores. So our business model includes our 4 sources of revenue, and these are our first year projections. For our retail, we're projected to reach 4.4 million. For delivery, we're expected to reach 1 million. And for our online CBD store, we're expected to reach about 500,000. And for our manufacturing license, we're expected to bring in about 750,000 in revenue. And so currently our online CBD store, it was open in July 2020 of this year. And some highlights about that is we have made over 12,000 in sales with 0 marketing. We currently have 5 out of 5-star reviews on Facebook and our website. We have high quality product with very fast shipping, and we have a 50 to 125% markup from the wholesale price that we purchased the products at. And so for our go-to-market strategy includes partnerships with known brands such as Candescent, Mr. Moxie's, and Papa and Berkeley's, and effective marketing through strategically placed billboards and unparalleled branding. So what we're going to offer is high-quality cannabis products offered by other competing brands, but we're also going to have our own branded products as well. But these are some of the partnerships that we have made currently. So the market opportunity, the cannabis industry is about, or is expected to be about 89 billion globally in 2026 and about 7.2 billion in California in 2026. And so Neptune versus competition, these are a few other big names, big brand names in the cannabis industry currently. And so these are what we offer in comparison to those other big name brands. So we have online ordering, convenient pickup, delivery, and open layout, and also a custom app. And you can see how we compare on the graph here. And also in terms of our convenience and affordability, Neptune is on the right quadrant on this graph. So we are both convenient and affordable in relation to our other competing brands. And so for our growth strategy for the next 2 years, it includes our current acquisition phase and also phases for our evaluation and our expansion phases beginning in 2022. So after about a half a year or 6 months of operation of our first location, we're going to evaluate and see where we're at, and then begin growing the scale for the future growth. And so this is a page about our founders and advisors. Again, my name is Dalvin Hickson. I'm the CEO. I have a MBA from Arizona State University, which is a specialization in entrepreneurship. My co-founder and COO, Jawan Milich, he has a Bachelor of Business Administration from the University of Georgia. And we have 2 cannabis advisors on our board. And one is Tyler Ledbetter, who has a grow operation in Colorado. And the other one is Mr. Jimmy, who is also working with cannabis and also has experience with alcohol and tobacco, which mirrors the cannabis industry. So this is just a quick graph of our financial breakdown. So what we're gonna be doing with the funds raised in this round. So a majority of the funds will be used for the dispensary acquisition and also the license transfer fee. And the rest will be for our operating cost and marketing fees.
Dalvin, you have 6 minutes.
Okay. And this is our last slide. So why Neptune? With the current projected growth rate of the cannabis industry and Neptune, investors have the potential for an incredible 21% ROI in 5 years. And also, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, the cannabis industry has proven to be a stable and essential industry. And cannabis products, specifically CBD products, have continuously raised curiosity around cannabis and also its health benefits. Our products and exceptional service will allow us to mold the industry into a more professional and essential business. And also, just to add to this slide, our exit strategy is in about 5 years, we plan to go public. If it's not federally legalized in the United States, then we'll be offering a public offering, hopefully in Canada. But that is our exit strategy for our investors. And now I will take questions.
Okay, anybody that'd like to lead off? Maybe, okay, Jeff Kendig, please go ahead.
Thanks, Dalvin. Can you give us a little bit more information on the specific location? I mean, the video or the photos look like Palm Desert, but this is somewhere in West Hollywood. So just kind of curious, what exactly is this location? And
so the initial picture on the beginning, that was a rendering, a concept rendering of an individual location, but we're now going to be in a retail location on a street in West Hollywood. We can't give the specifics of the dispensary that is currently operating because it is currently open and is under or operating under another brand name, but our specific location will be in West Hollywood of Los Angeles.
Okay. Is it a pre-ICO?
Yes.
Harry, Buffalo, do you have any questions?
Yes.
Please.
Devin, one thing I would ask, until you get your cultivation up and going, are you going to use contract growers so you can start establishing your brand, or are you going to wait until you get your cultivation set up where you're vertically integrated, where you can control and guarantee your type of your product and quality?
Okay, so we currently I've been working with about 3 contract growers and examining their brand and also the quality, because quality is real important to us. So initially we're just going to start off selling our contract brands up under our brand name. So we're going to acquire those products wholesale and then sell them back under our brand. And then after about a year or so of just the retail operations, we're going to start on our manufacturing side. As I stated, that current dispensary that is in operation, they have the license for the manufacturing and production, but they don't use them. They only are utilizing their retail and delivery.
Okay. Because I see it so many times people having their brand, but then the growers are not using the your brand SOP. And of course, the quality goes south real quick. You buy something one dispensary to the next, same brand. It's not the same experience or the same product because it's not a set system with SOPs how they should be growing your product for your brand.
Yes, that's a very good topic and a very good point you made there, because that's actually one of our goals for the future as we plan to scale and grow and open more locations. We want every location to be the exact same and customers to expect or know exactly what they're going to be getting from dispensary to dispensary. So before we do start or open any more locations, we will be manufacturing and producing our own cannabis. But until then, we're going to be working with our contractors.
I understand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from?
Excuse me. Okay, Dalvin. I think that my internet was cutting off a little bit. And can you please repeat the terms of the deal? How much are you raising? Are you offering a convertible note? How much equity you guys are offering? Thank you.
It's we're looking for $7 million for this round, and we're actually offering a equity stake. So however much you do invest into the company, we're hoping to give you a return of about 21%. And so after 5 years, if you're still in the business, the exit strategy for that is, since we will be trying to go public, we will either, the management will buy you out, or you will be able to convert those notes into your shares in the company once we do go public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your structure currently, your entity structure, your C Corp, LLC? How are you set up currently?
We're currently set up as a LLC, and once we start expanding, because we had to do the LLC first to even talk about licenses or anything like that. So once we get up in everything, we're gonna, because our CBD company actually now is a separate brand from our actual cannabis company because the advertising is different and they have different restrictions. So we're actually gonna organize it as a corporation and then put the cannabis and the CBD up under one company name. But now we're organized as an LLC.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dalvin, we're going to be wrapping this up. Just wanted to say I like your presentation. It's an improvement from what I've seen in the past. And to the audience, I hope you're paying attention to what these judges are actually asking us. These are the kind of questions professionals ask. So very valuable, very valuable. In fact, I should put my video on. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's move on. Our next presenter is Elad Barak, CEO, Voyager Products. Shalom. Nice to have you back, Elad. Please take it away.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining. And it's awesome being back again here. And thanks for the introduction. I'll just mention we're here in Canada, in Toronto. We're a Canadian company. And this is our second time here. And today I want to start with something a bit different, and I'll need the help of the audience for it. So I want everybody to take 2-3 seconds and think for themselves about their favorite beverage. And it can be any beverage. You don't need to want it right now. You can drink it in the morning, in the evening, in the weekend. Just think about it for 2 seconds. Great. Now, I want one more thing. I want each and every one of you to think, would you want to add some CBD or THC to it, and how many milligrams would fit personally for you? Okay, so the reason I'm asking that is I want to do here a small experiment today, or kind of demonstration, I would say. And what I've done is I went this morning and I bought 3 beverages from the Ontario Cannabis Store. I bought a cannabis tea, a cannabis kind of water with lemon or lemonade, and a cannabis beer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm dispensing each and every one of them with the Voyager product. So I already said the dose that I like. I'm just going to press a button. Got 1 dose, 2 doses, and my 3rd one. It's that simple. I just got each and every one of my beverages mixed with cannabis. It's my favorite tea. This is my favorite beer. This is clean water with lemon, no sugar, no other ingredients. So for me, it works much better. And with that, I'm going to jump into our pitch. So I'll just bring my computer and turn on the everything. And I'll share my screen. Great. So we just seen how easy it is and how I get to keep my own beverages, which is great. But I want to just add one more thing, and that is the fact that the price is amazingly different. So these are the beverages I bought. The tea, 5 milligrams, costs $7.35. The beverage was 2.5 milligrams and it cost 6.25, and the beer is $7.50. And if you look at the cost it cost me to do with the Voyager product, it's $6 less for each and every one of them. And I just have to say, if anybody here in the audience still thinks that ready to drink is the way that consumers will buy beverages, I'm going to challenge them on that. And I would say that kind of reminds me how people thought that if you just invest in a company that can grow cannabis, they can sell everything just because. So with that, I'll move into talking about Voyager. And what we are essentially is a medical tech company. And the reason I'm saying medical tech after this presentation is because Voyager can really do a bunch of things, and our vision is very big. We see this product going to health and wellness, to pharma, to cannabis and psychedelics. But cannabis is a great market for us to start, and that's where we're starting there. And the main reasons are, there's a lot of reasons to use cannabis, but when you look on the numbers, 60% of people don't consume cannabis yet, 17% are new consumers, and the reasons are mainly around not wanting to smoke or vape, having a bad experience with the wrong dosing, and just lack of guidance in the right product. And we really recognized an opportunity to do a product that is safe, simple, and precise. And our solution, pocket-sized dispenser, really answers all of that. You can use it for beverage drops, the way I just showed you, but you can also use it for the regular oil drops that you're familiar with that you put sublingually. It works just as well. So just to recap, the way it works is you take the dispenser and the pod, that's picture number one, you connect them together, it clicks, so it's very simple. And then you put it above your beverage. There's a few buttons so you can set your dose, press a button, and that's it, you're left to enjoy. It's simple, precise, portable, and we added a really cool feature of control. And that control is in the form of an app. It's not a must, but consumers that want can choose to download it, monitor their consumption, personalize their experience, and also get educated and see the bunch of choices they can take from the different pods that exist on our ecosystem. But from the back end, we can track consumption, ID consumer habits and trends, and really optimize our product offering. And that's something that almost no cannabis company is doing today because the information just doesn't exist. Now, all of this is based on our patent pending technology. I really like the safety aspect, and that means that this pod, there's no way for consumers to take liquid out of it. The only way is using the dispenser, and the dispenser actually has a password protection. But in addition to that, we have some smart technology here that allows everything to communicate. The pod can communicate with the dispenser and then with us, and it's very accurate. We have less than 3% error when we are dispensing. So the way this works from a business perspective is we're trying to build an ecosystem of razor and blades. Consumer purchase one time their dispenser, it's $50 Canadian, and then they repurchase the pods with cannabis. But the way it works is we sell these pods empty to different cannabis brands. They fill it, distribute it, and then sell to their consumers. We're here to manage the ecosystem and we manage the hardware. So we're here looking for $1.5 million at an $11 million valuation. And our use of proceeds are for mainly two things. One is to take this product to be ready to manufacturing. We have it working right now. We need to work on some molds and improvements for the electronics. And the second thing is to launch in a lead market so we can prove our product and then expand in the rest of Canada and globally. Now, from a milestone perspective and a roadmap, we kind of started a bit backwards because Voyager is a really milestone-oriented company. During 2020, we've got a working prototype, we've submitted our patent, we put our Health Canada application, which should come back in about a month. We're getting ready for a sensory testing with a licensed producer here in Canada, and next year we'll be ready to manufacture and launch the product in Canada. So on the left side, you can see our projections in Canada, and the reason they grow like this is because every time a company sells a pod, we make some money, and that kind of piles up fairly quickly. But we did take only 6 brands and added them slowly over 3 years. What you see on the right is our opportunity to grow, and that is because Voyager is highly scalable and we can expand internationally. We do not touch the plant, meaning once I prove it works in Canada, I can manufacture more pods and just sell them over in the States or in Europe. Now, I'll just mention that I'm not here alone. I have a great team. I have with me my Gio, who's our COO, and Aryan, who is our president. Gio brings years of experience in operation, and Aryan brings more than 30 years of experience in blue chip companies. Great experience altogether. And myself personally, I have a lot of product development and cannabis experience. So with that, I want to leave it for Q&A. And if anybody's interested, we're happy to take calls afterwards and emails and discuss more about our opportunity.
So that was good. Who would like to lead off? Josh, want to take a shot at this?
Sure. I've had Elad on the podcast before, but I guess I want to kind of bug him about getting into the United States. In terms of identifying needs and roadblocks for Voyager to get into the marketplace like California, for example, what's it going to take to get FDA approval? And do you have any plans for that, I guess?
Well, it's very early, and as a small team, we really need to focus our resources. Right now, it's about launching in Canada and really knowing every tips of the regulation here. But I will mention that anything regarding the FDA is generally around the formulation inside, the concentrate. That is not what Voyager does. We sell these pods empty to cannabis partners that are already licensed. We only sell the dispenser, which is a piece of hardware. We don't need an FDA approval for that. So I don't see an issue with that. And then just to explain our scalability, I can manufacture more pods. It's fairly easy. And we designed our pods in a way that if a cannabis company, has a filling machine for a vape pen, they can easily fill our pods. We're not a vape, but we designed it in a way that will be similar to really allow easy expansion.
How about Dr. Dave? Would you like to ask Elad anything?
It's a little bit of an additional question to what Josh was saying. As someone who has been heavily invested in physical therapy clinics, long-term care facilities, hospice care companies, I guess my question is not so much the FDA side of things, but are you looking to partner with in the future any companies that are really going after that geriatric population at all? And or long-term care facilities, and if so, can you summarize your roadmap for that within like 15 to 20 seconds?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think first of all, in the cannabis industry, we want to bring different partners that have different consumers they're facing, right? So maybe we want to find a cannabis companies that really developing oil that fits for the geriatric, community, and maybe want something for a bit more people that want to go out and enjoy. But as I mentioned in the beginning, this is also supposed to work with regular pharmaceuticals and vitamins. And because our dispenser tracks everything, we can actually allow, older population to get some support in remembering what they need to take, taking the right product at the right dose at the right time. So I see it for both of these products.
Okay, thank you for that.
And Jeff Kendig, is there anything that you would like to ask?
Yeah, my question is around, obviously the beverage brands that are out there would probably make some kind of argument about how, their products are mixed more efficiently with better absorption using nano emulsion technology. And therefore the consumer experience is going to be much better. And you're not going to get the entire THC impact in the first few sips, as they would argue probably would happen in your construct that you modeled. Can you respond to that hypothetical?
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you talk with different CEOs of these companies, they'll always mention, the following qualities: quick onset, really low calories, and no taste of cannabis. And when you think about that, all these three qualities have nothing to do with the ready to drink. They're around their product. Now they have to adjust their formulation to their beverage because it sits together for a bunch of months. And that means that there's time for the ingredients to chemically interact. Because I'm adding the cannabis right before consumption, yeah, they're going to interact, but much less. So I'm not worried about the beverage interacting with the cannabis, and there's no reason you won't be able to absorb it. The cannabis is already pre-emulsified in our pod. And there are products like that in the market, drops that you can add to beverages. They're just really inconvenient because they come in bottles like oil. They're not measurable, they're not accurate. And that's what we're adding to the mix, right? We're not bringing a new formulation.
Okay, we've got about a minute left. If there's anything else you would like to add, Elad, go ahead, please. And I do have by the way, is there someone else that wants to ask a question? Carol, go ahead.
Yes,
Please. Sorry about that.
I would like to ask one question regarding the intellectual property. Do you guys have a patent? Do you guys, how is Voyager regarding the IP procedures?
Yeah, absolutely. So I lead the product development. I have a master's in system engineering and a background from the aerospace and robotics industries in Israel. And we're working with a bunch of engineers here. We've submitted 2 provisional patents last year, and then we've converted them to 1 non-provisional patent this July. It's submitted in the States. We've already done all the prep work for submitting in Canada and in Europe. And it's a utility patent. It has a bunch of claims with things we incorporated in this that are supposed to prevent anybody from coming and doing the same thing, because there's a bunch of technologies that ensure that the drop is accurate that we've patented.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's really good, Elad. So we're going to wrap it up now. Thank you very much for your time. And I did see a comment in the chat. They would love for you to post your information, your contact information, how you can be reached. Have a wonderful day. And let's move on. Next up is Glenn D. Simone, CEO, Curatio Life Sciences. That's Curatio Life Sciences. Glenn,
yes,
please
that's
take it away.
Curatio. Thank you so much. We're Curatio Life Sciences, and I'm just, I apologize here. Let me get, shoot. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. We're very excited to be here. We're Curatio Life Sciences, full spectrum medical grade CBD. We believe we're the Tesla of the CBD market for 3 reasons. It's because we have breakthrough technology to improve performance and efficacy of our product. We have pharmaceutical grade standards that we practice throughout all manufacturing, and we're committed to innovation and future products. We obviously have a flooded market, a lot of misinformation, and a lot of Me Too products, and an inability to make hard claims to differentiate. And that's why we put so much money into the R&D and development to truly create a unique product and separate ourselves from the rest. In addition to that, we have a topical line that was recently approved for OTC, so we're excited that we can actually make a pain claim. There's been major progress with our distribution. Our proposal is to raise $1.25 million by issuing convertible notes. $1 million of this will be for our base plan expenses, while $250,000 will be for the test market. Notes will be offered in $250,000 segments, paying 7% interest. Opportunity to convert notes to equity at 20% discount evaluation. We'll determine this at the third quarter of 2021. I'm about to get into why this is a good investment for you, but first I'd like to take you through our team, our superior product, our financial projections, our support programs, conversion to equity, and then the special initiative, which we're very excited about. Our leadership team is essentially myself, the CEO and founder, Glenn D. Simone, and my father, Glenn D. Simone. Both of us come from the healthcare industry and advertising. We've collectively have launched over 30 brands to commercial markets and have had over 40 years of experience. This is our vetted chain. This is our vetted supply chain, which is a critical part of our team. As you can see, everything is GMP certified throughout, FDA fulfilled, and going all the way through our media to our direct sales team. We have a growing distribution network, which we're very excited about. We were recently just taken on by Threshold Distributors, which has 11,000 natural food stores. OptiSource was a recent, we're being onboarded currently. They have 3,000 pharmacies and small pharmacy chains. There's many others, including Brazil. We have business in Brazil that we're very excited about. Now getting into the product. Curatio's engine is a fine-tuned ratio of cannabinoids, which has 85% CBD and 15% secondaries, the only brand that has this kind of secondary on the market that we're aware of. THC in our hemp is converted via patent-pending process to CBN, providing THC full-spectrum entourage effect. As you may or may not know, CBN also binds to the CB1 receptor, and with that, in combination with our full profile of hemp-derived terpenes, flavonoids, esters, proteins, and fatty acids, it creates what we believe to be one of the most potent products on the market. The next issue is, of course, getting it into the body, and that's why we have a pharmaceutical-grade delivery system. It's a state-of-the-art nanosonication technology that miniaturizes the droplet to 10 nanometers, which is actually the size of a DNA strand. Our nano CBD is encapsulated in a natural surfactant, very important there, increasing bioavailability compared to those that use polyencapsulations, greatly increasing absorption by 10 times, rapid onset, and extended duration of use. The delivery matters. Most CBD oils exhibit only 6 to 8% absorption. Most nano emulsions increase up to 40% absorption. That's the polys I was referring to. Curatio increases absorption to 70%. Pharmaceutical grade standards are the pillars of our company. We're GMP certified throughout all of our manufacturing processes. We test our product 3 times, first at the initial ingredient, then at the nano processing stage, and then at the finished product, I should say. We have COAs available for every product, available on a QR code on our box when the customer is aisle shopping. Here's our COA. It shows you exactly what is in our active ingredient and what is not. Our products are here. Here is our line of products that we're very proud of. We have our oral products on the left, which is our nano drops. They're available in 500 milligram regular strength, 1,000 milligram extra strength, available in regular flavor and in mint. And we have a spray as well, which is very convenient for travel. And on the right-hand side, we have our topical products, which range from a salve, a roll-on, and a cream, available in regular and extra strength. And in addition to our active ingredient and emulsion, this also contains clinical doses of comfrey, menthol, arnica, frankincense, and other essential oils, making it extremely powerful, rapid onset, duration of action, and of course, we can make the pain claim as well. I'm going to pass this over to Senior here.
Hi there. I'll take you through the financials. We have 4 years here of revenue projections that start at 2.8 next year, moving up to 22.8 million in the 4th year. Not even the percentage of market is 0.7% of that total market, which we think is going to be somewhere in the $3 to $4 billion range. Our expenses are down at the bottom, and we get to an EBITDA of 30% in the 3rd year, which we think is quite positive. The cash flow analysis we've executed shows that at the middle of next year, we'll be at a deficit of $576,000 without the test market. With the test market expense, as you can see there, it'll be 826 at mid-year, and then it starts to fall off and it gets a little bit better through the rest of the year. The promotional program that supports Curatio is going to be two direct selling teams, a comprehensive direct marketing and advertising program that includes Facebook advertising, lead generation funnels, CRM system collecting customer emails. We're getting 3,000 emails per month right now and growing at a 41-cent customer acquisition. We have 75 influencers, from elite athletes to HCPs that reach an audience of 10 million followers. The Yankee chiropractor is a supporter of our product, by the way. And then we want to engage a public relations agency to be our partner. We said we had convertible notes. Let me take you through the conversion. We didn't get into that earlier on, but we were looking for $1.25 million. We think by the 3rd quarter of next year, we can figure an accurate valuation for our company. We're saying we'll use the lower value of $5 million, which discounted at 20% at $4 million, gives the $1.25 million investment 31.25% of our company. We own 100,000 shares. So each segment, if on an investing basis, $250,000 would get 6.25% share of the company. As we look out into the future at our projections, year 4, we're looking at about $25 million almost, and we think that that projected value of our company could be $100 million, which on an exit would be 2.5 to 3 times your initial investment. Okay, so that's our main deal. I want to now spend a couple of minutes on a stretch initiative. If you look at measured media in this category—
Glenn, you have 6 minutes, by the way, if you want to welcome questions.
Good, that's good. So, you mean—
No, including questions.
Including questions. I'm going to take a minute on this. Only $1 million is in measured media in 2009. It's basically newspapers and magazines, nothing in major broadcasts. So we're thinking of test marketing, a broadcast media effort that will include CTV, radio, and podcast. The test cells we've selected would be Portland and Denver, which are high CDI areas, and Cleveland, which is a low CDI, just to see what kind of impact we would get from spending $250,000 total in those 3 cells, to see what our ROI would be and what the upside growth potential is. This is a little bit of our national advertising campaign, we would take that and put it into the cells. These are the number of impressions that we get. And this is what the stretch would get us. We believe 30 million after 3 years of revenue, whereas the base plan gets us to 11. So for the cumulative ad spend of $7.5 million over the 3 years, which by the way is not in our budget. This is another issue. We would gain $20 million of incremental revenue. So it's one invested dollar gets you 3 ROI. So it's an interesting thing that we're looking at. That's it.
Questions, panelists? Terry, would you like to take a shot at that? How about Josh?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I had my mute off again.
No worries.
Sorry. I was just wondering, what is your profit margin in the two products that you have available?
Profit margin essentially depends on where we're selling it. If it's selling online, we're at about 6 times. If we're selling to wholesale, we're at 3 times. Distribution under the harshest terms, where we're taking a lot of cuts, we're at least 2 times.
Okay. And on the convertible note that you have, is there a maturity on that? And also, can the investor actually opt to convert or just be paid out?
He could do either. We would like him to convert, but he could do either, and there would be probably a 2-year maturity on the note.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, just a question about marketing, and obviously there's probably 1,000, maybe more, CBD brands out there right now in the marketplace, and some pretty big ones like Charlotte's Web, obviously. And so, just kind of curious, what your marketing plan is on how to kind of cut through all the noise and all of that, and is there a reason why none of the big guys are doing this kind of the media approach that you talked about in your stretch idea?
Yeah, so to answer your question, the media issue, why other brands aren't doing it, perhaps it's because of a risk. We plan on launching a national plan with our topical products, not with our oral products. We believe we're safe in doing that. But as far as our digital plan, that's really, our digital base plan is really what's going to set us apart from the rest, because of the funnels that we've developed with Facebook, Google Words, Microsoft Words, Bing. I mean, we've really figured out how to work these medias, because it's very tricky with as many brands as there are, and you pointed that out. So we believe that we're actually gaining an edge, and we're starting a momentum that will take us in this direction. What we're really looking for is the financing. We've already started this media plan, and it's starting to show success. So we believe with the proper finances, we'll be able to continue with this trajectory to cut through those thousands of brands.
Okay. We have 2 minutes left. Lindsay, do you have any questions? Or you have a question?
Yeah, I just wondered, I thought I saw Brazil listed as a potential future market. What are your international plans, if any?
So currently we have business in Brazil. Curatio Life Sciences has Curatio CBD, which is the brand we're talking about right now. We also have an active ingredient. We have a company that we develop unique active ingredients. And we have a deal set up right now where we're providing Curatio to a network of doctors in Brazil, and we're being recommended. We've just been received by a network of 10,000 doctors in Brazil. And as you know, they're prescribing it very differently than they are over here. Doctors are very excited about the efficacy of the product, and they're thrilled about ours because of how strong it is. There's no THC, but our ratio has an entourage effect that's highly efficacious. So we're already doing business there. We're seeing it climb on a monthly basis, and we expect also that our raw material will continue to flow because pharmacies are now purchasing it. And we're working on a deal for 100 kilos per month to sell to Brazil. So we have a lot of things that are happening right now. It's really just a matter of getting finances to continue this trajectory.
So we're going to wrap it up now. Glenn, that was an excellent presentation. It's really good to see pros in action. Thank you. So let's move on to Oh, you guys earned it. Let's move on to Jeff Ullman, CEO, GoodFOR. And Jeff, here's probably the first time you've heard this today. What are you good for? Take it away.
Thank you very much. I want to slow it down because there are some very clear black and white issues which are so important. So let's do this. Right now, share. Okay, presentation. I'm sorry for this. GoodFOR.us. The name GoodFOR, which we've registered in multiple countries and multiple trademark classes, really tells the story of and answers what customers worldwide are always looking for in any product, particularly when it has to do with health, and especially if it has to do with pain, because pain is a very, very black and white issue. You have it and it changes your entire life. You can't do, well, what you expect to do. So let's talk about that in a very clear way. GoodFOR Pain is a pain management company. We produce topicals that work in seconds. And the only way for you to know whether it works is to try it. Everyone knows loved ones in pain, whether it's ourselves or anybody else. It is very black and white. It does not have to be fancy. Our core team. But first I want to start with the motivation of why we started GoodFOR. My wife, Cindy, stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, her death due date, that is her prognosis, was approximately 4 years ago. Her only suffering was not from cancer, but from the secondary effects, the side effects, the adverse effects from her very powerful toxic chemotherapeutic drug. We solved that problem. We didn't cure her cancer, but she's what many people would say is in remission. We are represented, whether it be financially or legally, technically across the board by the upper echelon of proprietary companies. No pain, no gain. The topical market just in the United States currently approaches $1 billion a year just for pain topicals. It's enormous. Our milestones. We formed in January 2019. We launched our website in August because we wanted to test everything. We took the next 8 to 9 months to do product testing, real life, not in the lab, because we had already developed our unique formulations. We found that it worked. We charged money. We varied the pricing to see where the pain points were, quite frankly, and we settled on being under the average by far. And you will talk about this later. Like the previous company, we conform to pharmaceutical procedures, and as you can see here, our products, our pain topicals, are registered with will be registered with the FDA next week. We have a patent pending, which will be registered next week, next month, that is. And we also have quite a few affiliations. Now, we were wrong at first. I know that's the wrong thing to say when you're trying to raise money, but every entrepreneur needs to avoid becoming an entrepreneur, making a you-know-what mess. We made assumptions, key assumptions. And the one key assumption that we knew was a conclusion was everyone wants to know what's good for them. Again, GoodFOR is just part of our language, and yet we were able to successfully register it. We succeeded in a number of areas in direct to consumer, but we realized something, that even though we had tremendous customer proof, which you can see here, our products allowed customers to judge whether they work, not in minutes, hours, or days, but in 10 seconds. You either know it works or it doesn't. It works so well that 30% of all of our revenue comes from customer repurchasing. We have over 150 customer testimonials, and we provide no incentive, payment, product, or any of that. We do not have any Me Too products. Nothing in our pain topicals is Me Too. We even challenge companies to reverse engineer our product using whatever equipment they wish, and we'll test A/B with them. Bring it on. And they will find that our product works very quickly, lasts for hours, does not have any drug-to-drug interaction. We have scientific proof, which you could see. We're also starting the first, well, I won't say the first. I'll simply say, without bragging, we have a clinical trial conforming to all pharma standards beginning next month. But most importantly is what we learned. We must change from direct-to-consumer or retail, selling individually to customers, to wholesale. And that's where all investment dollars go. We're not giving up on direct-to-consumer. We will still market to and have direct people to come to our website, GoodFOR.us. But if you want to succeed globally, or even domestically in the United States, you must have other distribution methods, wholesale. If someone wanted to order 100,000 or more units of our products, we could deliver them in less than 4 weeks. We control our supply chain. These are the products we have now for sale. We have quite a few other ones, but we're ridding ourselves of them because our focus is strictly on pain. Product pipeline. All these formulations have been developed and tested because pain comes in many different ways, including emotional and psychological. Good for stress, good for sleep, good for immune support, good for sex, and good for stopping sugar. Incidentally, that stopping sugar is a lozenge, and within 20 to 30 seconds, it will block your your sweet receptors in your mouth, and no product, no beverage, no condiment, no food, no nothing will taste good. It's a behavior modification product. What are our competitive advantages? Well, the first one I'd like to say is the brand name. It cuts through clutter. People understand it. We don't have to blast the word pain or stress or sex or sleep because the brand name says what it is. Our margins on wholesale are even on low quantity, because again, we're a startup, self-funded by my wife, Cindy, and myself. It's approximately 55%, but retail margins extremely higher, as you can see. Superior performance, that's a brag, that's sales puffery. So we ask people, just take a sample. We'll send samples out to anybody. So I ask anyone who wants a free sample, go to our website, request it. We'll send you pain samples in the mail right away. We're also able to make pain claims, which are disallowed by the FDA. Now, the FDA has chosen not to go after many companies, but we like to fly over the radar. We want people. We want the FDA to find us because we put everything out there, nothing to hide. Trademarks, these are just a few. These are not pending, these are granted. And we have pending trademarks in Canada, Australia, European market, and some Latin America countries. Financial pro forma, well, I guess it's not showing. There it is. Principal assumptions. The shift is from retail direct to consumer to wholesale. The cost of goods is exceedingly low, and we can get specific. All the numbers you see here are supported by monthly financials. And so any investor who wishes to review those, just write me, jeff@goodfor.us, and I'll send them to you. We believe that we cannot achieve hockey stick growth. That's unrealistic. But we can achieve rather quickly tremendous growth because virtually all of the scientific proof, formulations, vendors, control of our supply chain, we've already locked that in. So now it's quite simple. Add finances, spend marketing money, hire two key people, and we're ready to go. Use of funds. You can see these here. These are broad, but we can get very specific, and I invite your questions. We already have nearly $75,000 in product, in inventory, ready to sell. Here's how we're raising our money. We first thought it would be equity, but our belief about the valuation of the company, particularly with the horizontal and vertical expansion globally for GoodFOR, because you can put GoodFOR in front of virtually any other product, we realize we need to be realistic, prove that GoodFOR makes money for investors. So we've converted this to a convertible promissory note, and you can see. We also have financials based upon, well, what if we raise just 100,000? What can we do? Or 250,000 or 375,000. We know how to modify that. We have a very sophisticated financial model, which I can't reproduce here as we're talking, but I can produce it in front of you post this talk and presentation. And sweetly, any investor of any amount can practically get free products from us. We don't even put a limit on it. This is good for investors. And so I'm ready to answer all of your questions. Or did I answer everybody's questions?
Jeff, this is
Thank
Josh
you.
Kincaid. I had a
Okay.
question about your revenue projections. You're switching primarily from direct to consumer to wholesale, and then over the next 2 years, you projected to go from 80,000 revenues to 1.8. Can you briefly clarify how you're going to go about that?
Yes, we have minimum orders, of course, which are very reasonable. Full case is simply 24 units. Half a case is 12. It's very simple. The wholesale price is 50% of the retail. The primary, we're launching with 5. We've already launched with 11 products, but we're slimming it down to just 5. The pain topicals, same gel, come in 2 forms, $45, so it's $22.50. And then that's what this is. I will get to your full answer if you can. The green screen kind of blocks everything out. Sorry about that. But it's an airless pump, which means it's contaminant free, easy to dose. A little goes a long way. And then we have these individual packets. These are what people get as samples. And all the information, including the ingredients, are right there. They come 6 to a box. This box is just $19.95, $20. So to a wholesaler, $10. I don't like to, I'm a little bit like Southwest Airlines. We have a certain sense of humor, but we want to have people whose expectations are met. We don't want to over dramatize or over promise. We want to oversupply. We want to exceed everybody's great expectations. Which means that very, very simply, that we can use my contacts in YPO, the Young Presidents Organization, which is global and a great outlet to get to decision makers, to leverage their distribution network in virtually every country of the world. There's 135 countries represented. In 2015, I started the Young Presidents Organization Cannabis Industry Wealth and Health Group. So I'm in direct connection on a first name basis with almost 400 international YPOers who invest, operate, or own their own cannabis companies, whether it's growing companies, supplies, et cetera, et cetera. I will provide you, Josh, with all the information you want about the logistics of moving from direct to consumer, which we will continue, to wholesale.
Okay. Sorry I missed part of your presentation. I had an outage here, but we're all good now. So I'm going to move on to the next presenter, and that is, and by the way, Jeff, I just want to say that was the best improvement in any presentation I've ever seen in all the times that I've been on these conferences. So well done.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Hey, listen, it's great to talk to a fellow YPOer. Anyways, let's move on. Langdon Brown, CEO, Southern Cross Hemp Oil, and Langdon. Must say that it's Friday. It's probably Friday morning for you there in New South Wales, and I hope you're enjoying a good cup of Java. Now take it away, Langdon. Looking forward to hearing from you.
John, how are you, mate? Thanks so much for the
Doing great,
introduction.
mate.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I've been in the medicinal cannabis and hemp industry for 8 years. My name's Langdon Brown, CEO of Southern Cross Hemp Oil. I got into the industry as one day I received a phone call from my Japanese wife, and she mentioned that she was crying and said that she had stage 4 breast cancer. And so I resigned from the bank a couple of days later and got to work on working out how I might be able to help her. I told her it would be okay because I'd helped her once before. I spoke with her last night. She's fine. Says the kids are driving her mad. I think my teenage daughters are gorgeous, and everyone knows that hemp is the nature's most potent carbon sequester. So I hope to get lots of New South Wales hemp farmers, in particular, growing hemp for profitable reasons and to expand the hemp industry. So I'm going to share my pitch deck with you. Okay, we are New South Wales' first mobile hemp oil extraction company, and we also I've had a license myself just for 6 weeks. I currently have 20 farms under my license and presenting tonight at a local hall, capacity 40 people, and should get some more farmers under my license. They're committed to growing so far 20 acres of hemp for oil, but that can easily expand up to 365 acres. This is the problem. We've never had a highly successful hemp industry, and all our hemp processing is sent to China, and we're in the middle of a trade war. Another problem is that the farmers, because it's a fledgling industry, farmers don't have the money for these commercial expensive machines, which can help save the farmers a couple of months drying and curing costs, and also months peddling it at local markets. And the hemp flower can't be transported off the licensed hemp farm, it must be processed on site. Solution. In New South Wales, we're allowed to extract hemp oil, which is CBD oil in America, extracted from the hemp flower, and it's being sold for more than $200 a gram. Market validation is the cosmetic market, was valued at 710 million and is projected to be worth 959 million. The pet food market that we're also allowed to sell to is worth 6.7 billion, even bigger. The products that we can make are pet foods and cosmetics, and currently we just have one cosmetic product that is being sold by word of mouth only. Plan is to visit licensed hemp farms in laboratory standard clean equipment to extract the hemp oil from the hemp stock and pay the farmers on this within 24 hours, get off their property and weigh it. Why would the farmers be interested? Because hemp oil pays a lot more than corn, soybeans, cotton or tobacco. Local farmers where I live are being paid 20 cents a kilogram for sugarcane, $1 for organic tomatoes. I can offer them $100 a kilogram for hemp flour. Market adoption. I post daily to my large social media network, mainly LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. And at the beginning of this year, I conducted personal interviews too with 6 CEOs of cosmetic and hemp food companies to see if they were interested in incorporating it into their products, $40 a gram. They were all very interested. I ended up just bypassing all of them because I'm limited with 3 little hobby machines in my 20-year-old 4-wheel drive to selling the product myself. I've been running on a bare bones approach. And I've been actually selling it for $150 a gram in cosmetics. So this was the business model, to pay farmers $7 a gram. I ended up paying my singular farmer $7 a gram. He made $80,000. Company made the same. We're partners. And the idea was to sell it for $40 a gram, but I ended up selling it for $150 a gram, and I still got 80 kilograms of flour for extraction. But the labor costs are really killing us on these little hobby machines. Competition, mine was the first application for permission for a mobile hemp oil extraction company. Competitive advantage, first to market, farmers get paid fast and properly, and we can get off the farmer's property in 24 hours for 3-ton wet hemp, 1-ton dry hemp. Team, investors and people only have to deal with myself. I'm a 100% equity owner. I was managing people's money in Japan and Tokyo. Safe pair of hands. Target is to raise $3.5 million US, and what I have to offer is to 25% of profits in years 1 and 2, and then at the end of year 2, I would return the investor's investment, and that would conclude our commitment. This is example of the hemp farming timeline and budget planner that I've been giving to farmers and that I'll present to people tonight, including one person who has 11,000 acres and who is interested. I'm part of a medicinal cannabis company where I can distribute my cosmetic products. My responsibility is New South Wales cultivation, extraction and product development. I have a purchase order with a guy who I've worked the last couple of years.
Langdon, you have 6 minutes, by the way.
Thank you. I have a purchase order for $1.76 million from a guy I've worked with for the last couple of years. The medicinal cannabis company has purchase orders for $125 million US first year and $295 million for the second year. My products have been submitted to our scientist for registration, and she's passed them on to her German counterpart for European registration. If it is accepted, we will connect it to our proprietary DNA testing kits, and it will come back as registered medicine for distribution where companies can wholesale it. Revenue, we've got a company business bank account, and our one little product's been making about $6,000 a month through word of mouth. Thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Okay, questions? Panel members, do you have any questions? Perhaps I could start with Josh. Josh, do you have any questions? Would you like to ask Langdon?
I guess there's a lot of companies out there, so I'd like to know kind of what sets you apart from somebody else trying to create hemp products down in Australia or anywhere for that matter.
We donated last year, and 5% of our profits to the farmers involved, and also donate 5% to the Indigenous community. And the CEO of our company is an Indigenous lady. And I look forward to contributing to our country. Currently, CBD products are not allowed to be imported into Australia. There's restrictions. This might change in the future. And during this time, just through word of mouth, we've been able to enjoy success so far.
Dr. Dave, anything you would like to add?
My only question is, for the concept that you're doing, what is the number one hurdle you have to overcome to really take your operations to the next level, other than just capital? What is the biggest roadblock you really see to taking your company to that next level of success?
I believe I'm surrounded in the medicinal cannabis part of the company with scientists who have the expertise that I'm lacking. I believe there's a massive opportunity in New South Wales only to extract for hemp oil from the flower. However, this could change. Government regulations could change and it could become a national ODC responsibility. So in the 6 weeks I've had my hemp license and managed to sign up 20 farmers so far, I also acquired ability through a medicinal cannabis company to be able to sell my companies in case the government pivots to where it's only a national ODC responsibility, and I'm able to sell my products on a grander scale internationally as a registered medicine.
Terry Buffalo?
Yes, since you're sourcing your CBD oil from outdoor growing, do you see a problem with the difference in the male versus the female plant and where you're sourcing your product? Because, you know, the cross-pollination is such a big deal in outdoor growing. And so I was just wondering, we always try to emphasize, you know, the female and indoors versus outdoors more for fiber. And I'm just wondering if you're experiencing any issues or different cannabinoids between the male and the female plant as you're getting your oils together to make your product.
Last year was our first year in operation, and it was very much a pilot year. We used locally on my mate's property. We used a local strain that's well known to the DPI called Kincaid. We got the strain tested at the local university called Southern Cross University, and it showed cannabinoids 16% for CBD, 6% for CBG, and less than 1% for THC. And we also got it tested for remediated for any THC present, which was less than 1%. And we also got it tested for heavy metals with charcoal filtration and through mold filters.
Okay. All right. Well, we're now ready to move on to the next presenter. Just want to say, Langdon, welcome. It's great to hear from you. You're doing some good things down there in Australia, and I imagine Australia is going to be a major player in this space. So thanks for your time, and let's move on to Michael Klein, CEO of Miraculo, which in Spanish translates, I believe, to miraculous. So let's hear about miraculous. Michael, please take it away.
Thank you, John. Miraculo, yes, Latin for miracle. You are absolutely correct. The goal of the company is to discover underserved audiences within medical cannabis, and CBD scale and monetize those audiences in a variety of ways. Background on me, whoops, where we go. I actually come from the media and entertainment world. Prior to joining the company 2 years ago as CEO, I was head of original programming and content for a network called MTV. And before that, many other networks, Sundance TV, the Discovery Networks. I also had the opportunity to be part of Condé Nast, home of Vogue, Vanity Fair, GQ, etc., and transform that company from a publishing company to a media company, which is entirely obvious unless you're a publishing company, for those of you that may know. What I did was I built a digital environment to attract new audiences and new revenue streams. We started in 2012. When I left in 2016 for MTV, we had built something that was nearing 1 billion video views a month and representing over 50% of Condé Nast revenue, and it continues to grow. I say that because when I looked at the cultural conversation happening around medical cannabis and CBD, I felt there was a real opportunity here and some clear lanes for us to play where we could grow and monetize audiences. So I'm going to take you through 4 of our verticals today. I'm going to spend the most time on our first vertical, God's Greenery, which is the first business focusing on the Christian community around hemp-derived CBD. Next, Cannabis MD, the global authority on medical cannabis and CBD. And then 2 marketplaces that we've created, Ask CMD and Dankrank. Starting with God's Greenery, we identified this growing current of Christians online talking about hemp-derived CBD as God's gift of healing and part of their wellness regimen. But what we also saw that there was no one place for the community to come together to learn more and share stories. So we launched the platform as a place to do that. What we quickly found out was that there was beyond learning and education, they were ready to convert and they were looking for recommendations. We didn't have a great answer for them. So with that, I went back to the team and I said, can we reward this community by developing products that combine CBD with other plants and herbs with healing properties and specifically for this audience? So we got to work to do that. And in September, we launched the first 3 of our hemp-derived products. Now, the Christian audience, is quite significant. In the US, 205 million people identify as Christian. Inside of that, faith-driven consumers, about 41 million, are looking for brands that share their worldview, 77% of those. And those that do find it will convert and change brands, 84%. They're contributing $2 trillion to the US economy. So there's a real opportunity there to speak to this audience, build this community, and drive engagement. It was designed by experts. Audrey Sommerfeld is my head of strategy. Audrey is an expert from the CPG world, as well as multi-level marketing and direct sales, having been an executive with Herbalife, Visalis, and others for many years. When we looked for a manufacturing partner, we met with Jason Mitchell from Hemp Fusion. Hemp Fusion is not a white label company. You may be familiar with them. They're quite significant within the hemp CBD space. But Jason was driven by faith. And when I told him the story of what we were building, he said, I really, really need to be part of this. So we are the only white label partner that Hemp Fusion has ever had. As I said, we launched our first 3 products in September, the Oil of Gladness, a sleep capsule, and what we call our Fit and Flex capsule. They're available through, with the pipeline of products beyond that, there's any number of herbs and plants referenced in the Bible with properties that we know in combination can have efficacy for individuals. So we've launched this through a direct sales channel. And Barry from Veed talked a little bit about this, about the power of the ambassador program earlier. The direct sales channel means consumers can buy products directly from us at godsgreenery.com, or they can also sign up as an ambassador. By sharing a link with their friends and family, they'll earn a referral fee for any closed sales. It's a great way to earn extra money from home. And importantly, we are giving back 10% of our revenue to local churches and not-for-profits of the choice of individuals. We started recruiting for ambassadors through local churches, community organizations, and colleges. We anticipated somewhere between 10 and 15 ambassadors in our first month or 6 weeks. We have 220. And they fall within the verticals of our audience, which you see here, which is everything from military to moms to entrepreneurs that are looking for additional income. A great example of the power of the program is our own Samantha Stanley. Samantha signed up to be an ambassador 5 weeks ago. She built her own Facebook page with postings and collateral that we've given her, in addition to an Instagram account. She's sending about 120 to 150 people to our platform every week. And she's seeing conversions and building revenue as a result of that. So it's a very, very powerful opportunity, not only to build your community, but to reward your community. And then partnering with those charitable organizations that are also amplifying our message to their constituents. The story is really resonating with media as well, both secular and Christian. What we found, and we may have thought like, oh, when you launch, will we have resistance from the Christian community? We've had none, absolutely none. In fact, what was revealed was, I love CBD. I didn't have a place to talk about it. And now there's a product that it actually speaks to me through a faith lens. So it's been really rewarding in that respect. We're in a pilot right now in fourth quarter. Now, as the products are available across the US, but we're focusing on North Carolina initially from the PR and marketing perspective. The reason for that is you have a population of 10.4 million people. You have a pretty diverse range of metro centers. You have a population as well that 85% consider religion an important part of their lives. So it's a great place to learn. And as we scale, as we move through more southern states from the PR and marketing perspective, and then through 2021, broader across the US. We're gonna shift gears. Cannabis MD, completely different platform. The opportunity I saw here was that there was no one authority voice for a cannabis or CBD curious consumer to learn more about the potential benefits. Cannabis MD is a non-advocacy platform. We don't have a bias towards use. We present both sides of the equation, positive and not so positive, with the goal of empowering consumers to make choices that are right for them. And we talk about our platform as being a safe place to learn. If you look above here, you see images from other platforms that may have smoke or stigmatizing language or weed. Cannabis MD has none of that. It is a pure play, no smoke, no weed, no stigmatizing language. All
Michael,
original
forgive
content.
me, you have 6 minutes left.
Thanks. All original content powered by trust and authority from medical doctors, veterinarians, even cannabis chefs in the space to cover all sides of the equation. Our consumer base, the chief medical officer mom at 35 plus, a healthy ager at 45 plus, and of course, affluent culture millennials, 27 plus, that are really driving the conversation, particularly around CBD. We amplify our message through original content. A couple of examples, our first short film, which we made an exclusive deal with People magazine, who have millions of monthly subscribers, from there syndicated and to reach 160 million people within 2 weeks. Or a piece of data where we demonstrated that CBD was actually bigger than Beyonce and Kim Kardashian online, that reached 61 million consumers over 2 weeks. What that does is drive interest back to Cannabis MD, where consumers were looking to convert, but we had a problem. We were sending them out into the wilds and the clutter and confusion of where to find a CBD brand, one that breaks through and resonates for them. With that, we created Ask CMD. Ask CMD is a proprietary engine. It's a quiz for consumers who are looking for a CBD product for a particular ailment. But we ask a few more questions around form factor, around their knowledge base, around their taste, flavors, around their taste, other brands. And with that, our AI-driven quiz will surface the most appropriate product for their particular need state. It's an affiliate marketplace. We negotiate deals up to 50%, in some cases more, with consumers. Or with companies. We're helping companies surface their products to consumers. And we're developing, using this proprietary technology, the same idea for the adult consumption market, almost a beginner's guide called Dankrink, where consumers that are curious of now moving into cannabis from a recreational perspective can come answer a few questions. We can surface the relevant accessories for their particular needs. 100% compensation is equity across this team. When I joined and I saw the opportunity, I asked to be paid $1 a year. That's how much I believed in it, in addition to my own personal investment. And I'd managed to recruit individuals from all walks of my network, from Condé Nast to Viacom, et cetera, to help build the story. That is Miraculo.
Thank you. I will now put it out to the investor judges. If anybody has any questions, please unmute. If not, I'll just pick someone and ask you for your opinion. Okay. Let's start with Lindsay.
Well,
I favor us with a response.
Yeah, I like both those products. The Christian market, I didn't know it was as large as it was in North Carolina, but it makes a lot of sense to me. And post-COVID, anywhere in the world, I think our number one focus after the economy will be on wellness. And that serves that market, whether it's Christians or otherwise, I think the market will change. And but I also like the Cannabis MD, because even though I spent 40 years on research I still didn't know as much about the plant until I really got involved in it 4 years ago, and always clamoring for information. And I think that's the biggest problem in our industry, is the lack of education and being able to get, even if a medical doctor wants to find information, they got to do it on their own time. They don't have a lot of time. And this will help speed up the process. There's others out there, but I like it.
And it's filtering the fake news aspect of it as well. You know, we know there's a lot of bad actors out there in the space that are trying to take advantage of consumers, and we can help cut through that.
Tim?
Michael, great presentation. What was your revenue with the CMD or the CBD site, the MD CBD site? And what's your ask?
So we just launched. Thank you. Yeah, we just launched Ask CMD in September as well. So revenue for this year combined with God's Greenery, we roll them all together into Miraculo. It's modest. It's about 100,000 this year, scaling to 3 million next year, and up from there. Our ask is 1 million against a 7 million pre-money. We've raised about 6.2 million since the company was formed in 2017.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left. Carol, do you have any questions? Would you like to ask Michael?
Well, Michael, great presentation. Thank you. Yes, up to date, where have you been able to sell your products within the United States, in Latin America? Where are those markets that have been welcoming your solutions up to date?
So God's Greenery products, we just started selling in September, so it's only been a few weeks. We're only focused on the US. And of course, with the exception of South Dakota, Idaho, and Nebraska, but anywhere else in the US.
Thank you.
That was great. Thank you, Michael. Nice to see you here. First time I recall, wonderful. So let's move on now. Last but certainly not least is Skip Stone, CEO, Stashlogix. Skip has been here a couple times already, I believe, and I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation, Skip. Please take it away.
Thank you, John. Can you hear me? Okay. All right, thanks, John and Tim. Met you last month for this presentation, and thank you the rest of the judges. Appreciate your time and expertise in helping all the entrepreneurs out, including myself. So as John mentioned, I am Skip Stone, founder and CEO of Stashlogix. We make the best stash bags in the world. They are thoughtful, secure, and discreet. Thoughtful because we include features that no one else has thought of. Secure because our patented bags have a lock that keeps kids safe. And discreet because we seal in the odors with special zippers, gaskets, and liners. And they don't look like a stoner product either. That's because we're targeting a new cannabis consumer. That's the athletes, baby boomers, business people, and soccer moms, because that's where we see the real opportunity is. Speaking of opportunity, we're raising $1 million at a $5 million valuation. This is a Series A equity round. We've raised $690,000 so far, so we have $310,000 left to go. So we'd love to close the round with people here on this call. So let's dive into what investors want to know about. I'm going to quickly go through the problem, the market, the competition, the traction, our financial model, the exit, and the team. So first, the problem. Keeping kids safe from cannabis edibles has always been a driving force for us. Edibles need to be locked up around kids, end of story. But historically, cannabis storage has focused on, I'm sorry, I'm missing, seems to have stalled on my slides. Okay. Historically, cannabis storage is focused on padding, but cannabis is much more than glass pipes. It's dirty and smelly and sticky, but it's also beautiful and fragile and powerful, and it's not for everybody. So Stashlogix was created to address all of these problems, whether you're taking a road trip to visit the in-laws for the holidays, just going camping with friends and family, or a night on the town, Stashlogix has you covered. In fact, you're not alone. There's actually what I find 220 million worldwide cannabis consumers, and a recent Mayor's poll in the US showed that half of them are parents. So we have a niche in a massive market. You might wonder how we're going to compete. Well, we already have competition. It's dime bags, riot bags, and skunk bags. They've been around for about 10 to 15 years, but they're targeting the stoner demographic, the counterculture. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we're skating to where the puck is going, not where it is. We're talking to the parents, the empowered women, professionals, athletes. People love the outdoors. People like us. We're a Boulder, Colorado company, so people relate to our lifestyle. It's authentic and it's inspirational. And it's working. We've now sold $3.3 million worth of weed bags, and we don't even include the weed. That's kind of a joke, but it's actually true. I started this company in my garage in the winter over 4 years ago, I guess getting close to 5 years now. And we've now sold $3.3 million with the small dedicated team and a little bit of funding, but we've become a big brand in the space. So that's led to a great financial model. We are now we're about cash flow positive. We're right on the line there. We're running 61% gross margins this year, and we've done this all on just $690,000 of invested capital. We get ROI. Limited access to capital and a small team, we have to get ROI. So, but our brand is really starting to take off. These are our online sales, and as you can see, this year we've almost every single month, except for March and February when the pandemic was really hitting, and really August a little bit of a dip, we've exceeded every single month prior. So if we can thrive during a pandemic, then there's really not a lot that can stop us at this point. As far as exit goes, we're going to, we believe we're going to be acquired by whoever values brand, somebody that wants to partner with the best. So the team that's going to deliver that exit is myself. I'm an engineer. I started the company to address my own needs with a couple of young kids in the house. So I made a prototype and I applied to the first class of Canopy Boulder. This was 5 years ago, and it was a cannabis specific incubator. And there I met my lead mentor, Steve Norman. Steve is a serial entrepreneur. He's the most notable of which was he was a co-founder and first COO of Einstein Bagels. So he knows how to run complicated businesses and how to scale up. After Canopy ended, Steve joined our team full-time, became our first investor, and has been in the trenches with us every day. Blair has an MBA. She keeps the trains running on time. And Isaac is our young gun marketing guru who knows how to pull the right levers to build our brand online. So with that, I think I've answered or ticked off all the investor boxes. All our ducks are in a row. We're ready to scale. We just have $310,000 left to close this round. With this extra capital, we're going to be increasing our online marketing spend. Right now, we're getting about $4.30 for every dollar ad spend on mostly Facebook. We also will ramp up our distribution play, which we have done very successfully in Canada a couple years ago, but we've scaled back due to finances. And so we've, in the past year, it's been pretty interesting. Well, past couple years, we previously were 75% distributor model. Now we're 80% online sales. So we're expecting this year to have a $900,000 year in sales. So we're happy about the traction in online sales with great revenue. All of this is going to help further our mission of normalizing cannabis, of breaking the stigma, helping people be responsible. How do you travel, store, organize cannabis, and all of the pieces and parts and challenges that come with it. So with that, I'd love you to go check out our website. We have a great host of different products that are available. And yeah, with that, I'll just take questions from the judges.
Skip, you went, this is Dr. David speaking. You went over how much more you're raising. So You said there's, I think, $310,000 left that you're raising. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And then what's the minimum investment? Like this, can you go over like the general terms? Because I didn't see it on the screen for the offering.
Sure. $50,000 minimum investment. It's a Series A equity round. So it's a $1 million or total raise at a $5 million valuation. So 20% equity we're giving up in this round. And yeah, we've a lot of it has been in the bank and been deployed. We're just trying to close this round.
And then just one last follow-up. Do you think you're going to be doing a second round in the next 24 months?
Probably will be. It's hard to say. There's a big opportunity out there. We're a little bit limited on some of the marketing opportunities. So we do great with Facebook marketing and some other things, but we haven't really played around much outside of that, mostly because we get great ROI in that. Like I said, a dollar spend gives us $4.30 back. So our margins are 61%. So we have a solid business model. We have, anyway, so yeah, we're, sorry, I lost track of where I was going.
No worries. I'm familiar with the product. I have clients of mine and investors of mine who have your product as well too. I just wanted that key information. So we'll touch base offline. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, David.
Skip, question for you. What being your competitive events, what patent do you have on this? And are you planning also to go, are you B2C also in wholesale in stores?
We are. So we have a very robust B2C channel. We handle that in-house right now. We do have a distributor in Canada that we work with that has got us in the Tweed stores, some Tokyo smoke shops, really about 60% Ontario Cannabis Store. Most of the government-run dispensaries in Canada carry our product. We have a huge play in Canada. That revenue, it's complicated, but that revenue is not showing up this year, and it didn't even show up last year because our distributor thought that market was going to blow up like everybody did, and it fell short, and it's slowly gaining steam, and we're about ready to get stuff going back there again. They're still kind of going through the product stuff, but internally we've decided to slow down on distribution because of finances, but we have in-house sales that manages our dispensary channel, and we're working with some of the biggest dispensaries throughout the United States, from Michigan to well, lately we've been having a really big play in Michigan, Massachusetts, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Oklahoma. But we've done extremely well in Northern California, Colorado, really all over the place. So yeah, we have a good, we do a little bit overseas. We have Amazon, UK, and we have a little bit of activity in Brazil. But yeah.
What about the patents? Do you have patents on this to protect it from someone else just creating a stash? I know you talked about the competitors, but what specific patents do you have?
So we have a design patent, provisional patent on a bag with an integrated lock. And that is the product that is our flagship product. And we do have some people knocking us off. We've sent threatening letters to them, but at this point, we just don't have the capital to chase them. Ultimately, we are a brand play. We are all about the brand. We have lots of brand IP, and we're really resonating with the brand aspect. We do have other patents that we have submitted more in the design realm. We have plans to do some innovative, possibly utility patents, but again, it's, we're a small team running in a worldwide economy. So it's just, we tackle what we can when we can, but yeah, IP helps, slows people down. Ultimately, we're all about the brand, and that's our focus.
Thanks, Skip.
Skip, this is Josh Kincaid. You said 80% of your revenue comes online. A majority of that is Facebook. Is there any plans in the future to use some of the money that you're generating right now to transition into or to add the pharmaceutical industry and place some of your bags in pharmacies because of obviously pharmaceutical pills and whatever being a problem. You know, you don't want kids to get in that either. Is that something that you're going to get into?
Yeah, great question. We have a couple other brands that we have offshoots of that we haven't done a whole lot with, but we have the IP. We have the company names and websites and social media pages for Safe Meds, which is specifically tackling what you're talking about. It's a lower cost product, but it's something that really every house in the country could use to hide up whatever kind of medicine they have. So we do plan to do something with that when we have a bigger team that we can tackle it. We also do have a Stash Action, which is kind of going more into the REI world, outdoor sporting goods, in not a cannabis play, but more just how do you keep, you know, things locked up on your bike and other just travel. And right now we're doing a part of a TV show called Catch Flights, Not COVID on the Matador Network. They're going to be promoting our products, and that's specifically a travel play, not a cannabis play.
Hi, Skip. This is Terry. Quick question for you. I know 80% of your sales right now is online, but as you do expand into some of these other retail locations, what kind of margin pressures are you anticipating? You say you're running at a 61% now, so I know it's going to be hard to keep those type of margins up when you have to start splitting the pie with other people.
Right. So some of the other channels, when we get bigger distribution, big box stores, our margins are going to go down, and that's where we're definitely going to have to raise more money to tackle some of those channels. So right now we do have very healthy margins, but we've looked at the numbers. We have a lower cost product that can get into some of these other channels, and we understand. I have an investor that is trying to get us into CVS and Walgreens. They are a CEO of a large $500 million pharmaceutical company in New York that he's the CEO of, who invested in us. He's trying to get us into that, but he's trying to get a CBD brand in first. So doesn't want to use up his relationship capital until his direct play has some traction. So we've looked at all those numbers. We've talked to the agents and the different distributors that would be involved, and the numbers look good. We can definitely still pull it off. It'd probably be, more like a 50% margin. Like I said, our pricing can come down in manufacturing for that product.
Do we have time for another question? All right, it's Lindsay.
Go ahead, Lindsay. Jump in.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, you gave us a number in terms of dollars in sales, but what does that come out in terms of units, and what would you do to be able to scale up from what you're able to do now if you took on a customer such as, or a distributor network that took you to a place like CVS or Walgreens?
Yeah, let me see. I have so this is our pro forma. We're shooting for $1 million this year. I think we're going to fall a little short because probably mostly because funding. We're having to turn away some orders because we just don't have the inventory. But this is what we're looking at. This is specifically in the cannabis channel. Like, we have these other channels that we can go after. We have not really put a lot of effort into those until we have resources, but we're expecting a healthy growth. I think that it's a rational, reasonable growth. We're not saying we're giving ourselves time to ramp things up, but we already have significant traction. We have a name brand in the industry. We are really the leaders and early adopters of this technology in the industry. So things are moving in the right direction, but prior to us coming onto the market, people weren't really considering that they needed a stash bag. They kind of used toiletry bags and other products that they found in their house. And people are now realizing that there are products out there and they serve a purpose.
Okay, got to wrap it up now. Skip Stone, that was an excellent presentation, and I really hope you fill your round. So let's now move forward, and I will be announcing now that this completes the 9 company presentations. And we will now have voting by the investor judges and the audience. The pop-up screen has been posted for you, the audience, with a list of the 9 companies. Please cast your vote for the company that you consider made the best presentation today and you would consider investing in. While the audience is voting, let us start with the investor judges and see who they have voted for. And so I'm going to move the investor judges in alphabetical order. And I'm going to start with Carol Ortega. Okay, Carol.
Thank you. So do you want me to vote for the best company?
Yes, please.
Well, it's quite difficult. I like them. I actually like about 5 of the pitches that I hear today. Thank you, Brad, for putting together such a compelling and competitive initiatives. I will say, well, Neptune catch my attention. I think Neptune has a good offer regarding a solution with real estate for some investors, and I will follow up. Also, Curatio, GoodFOR, and Miraculo. I think that they have interesting differentiation in their brands in the CBD arena. In the market, I think in US and hopefully in Latin America, I can see them expanding and having a good representation. So I will be interested in follow up with them as well. And yeah, I think those companies, I think really all of them did a great job. And I also like the diversification that we saw today. Most of our investors understand the potential of a diverse portfolio. So I will be interested in following up with each company. And well, this in general terms and without a rigorous due diligence, just by hearing their pitch deck and seeing their presentations, that will be my feedback.
Excellent, Carol. Thank you so much.
Thank
Muchas
you.
gracias. And now time to move on to, hi, Miss Columbia. And on to Dr. Dave Cunic, CEO, UCS Advisors. And I hope I'm not transposing those. And,
no, you got it. You nailed it, John.
I got it right this time, right? Sometimes I do that. A bit of a maladroit when it comes to him. Trip over my own tongue. Anyways, Dave, Dr. Dave, what do you think? Who's your number one?
So first off, thank you for everyone for presenting today. And the one thing I think that all of us as investors, investing comes down to timing. And it's if it's the right time to invest or to invest later on. So with that being said, the 2 companies which I thought were the best were Elad and Voyager, and Skipstone and Stashlogix. However, though, out of those 2, the one that I feel that my investment group would say it's investor ready with the largest short-term upside, where investors can really see their best ROI immediately, I would have to go Skipstone and Stashlogix. I really think where they're going and the fact that it's a small team, they still haven't hired a full-time publicist or a full-time branding company. With a small infusion of capital, I really think they can go to that next level. So I would have to go Skipstone and Stashlogix for today.
Awesome. That was great, David. Excellent as always. Thank you. And Jeff Kendig, Managing Partner, Bravos Capital. Who's your fave?
Thanks, John. Yeah, it's a little tough to decide. I think, since we look at both the debt and the equity side of the equation, I think there's a number of companies that presented today that, we would be interested in supporting at the right point in time when they are capable of supporting debt, namely kind of the brands that kind of presented today. I think Voyager had a very interesting kind of technology angle that, probably needs a lot more diligence to kind of figure out how that plays out. But to me, the most intriguing kind of, I guess, off the wall, but interesting play was the Miraculo and God's Greenery in specific. But my hesitation there is that the rest of the company is kind of a media platform play, which in my mind is kind of a separate business model. And so I just I'm not sure yet if that makes sense to kind of combine all those into one, and what kind of capital is needed to grow a media empire versus a very specific niche kind of direct sales brand, which is a little bit different. So I guess there's an asterisk next to my answer on all of them, but that's kind of my top of mind thoughts.
That's excellent, Jeff. Thank you for your analysis. And I'm sure the audience approves. They learn a lot from listening to someone like you. Now, on to Lindsay Blackett, CEO, Peakterra Ventures. Lindsay, who's your favorite?
Well, I think all the entrants, because 9 good presentations. There's probably a half a dozen companies that I like there. But what spoke to me was really what your panelists started off with when they talked about purpose and focus. And for me to get in the cannabis space, Pheno spoke to me. And it's because I've tried to help craft growers get off the ground. I've tried to help people from the black market transition to the legal market. And I think the mention there was it's about $6 million to get off the ground for some people. Here, we said $2 or $3 million, but most people don't have that. We've got a lack of quality product. And I like the fact that you have support because just because somebody knows how to grow the product doesn't mean they know other aspects of the business. And that's something that's sadly needed. So that would be my choice.
John, you're on mute.
Can't believe I did that. Thank you for letting me know. Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst, SuperChronics. What do you think?
It was a really tight score. So I'm sitting here with this little matrix and checking off boxes and everything. It was really, really tight. Everybody did a really good job. But I'm going to have to, for my own personal reasons, working with the World Trade Center on their export store, I really liked Berry and Veep. Some hesitations. There's a lot of states that have their own rules with CBD, but overall, I thought it was really intriguing as a way, an opportunity to help CBD and maybe eventually THC companies get to the masses. So I'm going to go with Veed.
Veed. Okay. Wow.
Thank you, Josh.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Let's move on to Terry Buffalo, CEO, American Cannabis Company. Terry, please tell us, what do you think?
I enjoyed all the presentations today. I know everyone puts a lot of time into this and their heart and soul into this in their company. The two that really stood out for me today was the Voyager Products. I think a lot, Dr. Dave and I are kind of on the same path with that. And then my number one choice would be Stashlogix, just because of where they're at currently. And like Dr. Dave said, a lot of times it's about timing. But between the two, I would have to vote. My vote would be for Stashlogix. I love what Voyager Products is doing. I'm seeing them moving forward, but today my vote would be the Stashlogix.
Enjoy your succinctness, Terry. That was great. Thank you. And of course, not least by any means, Timothy Lozott, CEO, Green Life Capital. Take it away. Tell us who's your favorite.
Presentation-wise, there's a lot of great presentations. I want to say to Jeff with GoodFOR, I saw your presentation last month, and this month, you by far have come the farthest of anyone presentation-wise, and it was excellent, and that was great. I really loved that part, and so you've grown quite a bit. When it comes to, I wouldn't just invest my money just based on the best presentation, though. And if I was going to do that best presentation, I liked Voyager Products. I loved your presentation. It was great. But what catch my eye, and I'm going to go with what David said, is what's investable today? What could I invest in today? Who could I write a check to right now? And where you're at in the stages. And of all these companies, a lot of companies, you should look at your valuation. A lot of you are way overvalued because you have to generate some revenue to start asking for those types of money. But if I'm going to cut a check today, I can cut 2 checks to Pheno.ag and Stashlogix. So it has to come down to, if I have to choose between those two. Today, I'd go with Skip with Stashlogix. I think your presentation was on par. Your company is doing excellent. You have lean capital, and I see you doing some really great things with what you're doing. I think you have scalability. I like what you're doing. So that's where my vote goes. Sorry that took so long.
No, that was excellent. That was excellent. So I've tallied up, and it's Stashlogix is the favorite of the judges. And I actually understand why. I agree with most of the sentiments that have been expressed here. To me, it's the company at this point that is easy to invest in at this time. Now, what's interesting is I'm looking at the presentations and the audience. Oh, this is interesting. The audience likes Miraculo, and then Deed, and then Voyager Products, and then Stashlogix. So it's interesting to see the differences. So judges winner, Stashlogix, and the company that wins is Miraculo from the audience. And that to me is very interesting. So wasn't that amazing to go through that and come up with that? Now, a few final comments about the investor judges, companies, winners, and voting by audience. And this is only my opinions, and Brad, please don't throw any bananas at me. I'd like to say, investor judges, I only wish you guys were on my board of directors, and gal too, of course. The investor judges, man, you comprise an incredible brain trust, and with this board, I could ultimately raise 9 figures. Each time Brad produces an investor hot seat, the quality of the companies improves. I've attended 4 events, and it just gets better and better. Keep it going, Brad. You're really going somewhere with this. And then trying to pick the best company is much harder than it seems. There are many good candidates, and often our choices are based on risk profiles unique to investors. For example, I like the medical cannabis space best, but there's excellent companies in the adult use market. I just feel comfortable with medical cannabis because I believe I have access to excellent expertise. Nevertheless, I want to congratulate the winners, Stashlogix from the judges side, and also Miraculo on the audience side. And I want to say you guys won because, frankly, you're just good. You're really, really good. And finally, judging by the comments and the questions, and I've received many, I am honored to serve as your host for a group of very smart attendees. This is a great audience, and you should be proud that you attended. Good for you. You guys are winners. Now, I'm just going to move on to some closing announcements. Formally stating that this completes another episode of the Investor Hot Seat. No more ad-libbing, Brad, I promise. I want to thank all the sponsors, speakers, investor judges, presenting companies, marketing partners, and especially you, the audience, for joining us today. We would like to remind the audience, investor judges, that you can review the Investor Hot Seat presentation seen today on www.investorhotseat.com website. That's www.investorhotseat.com. In addition, you can locate the emails of the presenters on the Investor Hot Seat website, so you may contact them directly, and I recommend you do contact them directly. And please make sure to mark your calendars for our next event, the Cannabis Investing Forum virtual webinar on December 10th and 11th, 2020, and the Cannabis Investing Forum Las Vegas live event and webinar on January 12th, 13th, and 14th, 2021. I just can't think of another place I would love to go at the beginning of New Year's than in Vegas. So we are seeking companies that would like to present, investor judges, exhibitors, sponsors, media, and marketing partners. You can find the information at cannabisinvestingforum.com. That's cannabisinvestingforum.com, and you can register on Eventbrite. And now for the networking. It's actually my favorite part. This is a reminder that you need to register with a new Zoom meeting link to access the networking rooms. It is posted in the chat now, and the link can also be found on the investorhotseat.com website. That's www.investorhotseat.com. investorhotseat.com website, and onto the Cannabis Investing Forum website. That's cannabisinvestingforum.com. And I look forward to seeing you all in the Zoom room. Let's go Zooming. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.